Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Afternoon Tune. I am your host, Josh, and with me is my co-host here.
It's your boy Nick.
And we got Dusk returning again with us. How is it going, Dusk?
All right, howdy.
Yes. Today, not too big of a show today. Really wasn't really much out. So we're just going to be discussing *Malignant*, which was the HBO Max movie, same day release. So studio put it out on HBO Max and they put it out on theaters. So we're going to be discussing that. I didn't get a chance to see the card counter, simply because I just woke up. I had a big headache today, and I didn't feel like going to the movies today. But we will be discussing the card counter with Oscar Isaac and Tiffany Haddish tomorrow, because we're going to be doing another show tomorrow. We're going to be doing an interview with an artist by the name of Ant Donovan, and so we're going to be doing that, a comic book artist. And writers, so we're going to be doing that tomorrow. So Card Counter and Kate with Mary Elizabeth Winstead, which is the Netflix film that's out today. We're going to be reviewing that tomorrow. But today we got *Malignant* on the schedule, and we also have *What If* episode 5, the zombie episode. We're going to be discussing that. Also got some news to talk about. Of course, the passing of Michael K. Williams. Unfortunately, he passed away. Very, sudden, tragic thing. Just you're reading the news, and then all of a sudden you see something trending, and it's Michael K. Williams, and you hear about him. So that was very, very sad news about him and everything. So we're going to be discussing that, as well as Shang-Chi, and it broke a box office record. So good for that movie. Going to be discussing that.
Yeah, kudos.
The box office there.
Love to see it.
I love to see it. Going to be discussing all that. Simon Liu, I can't get enough of his, his stock,
stock photos.
I can't get enough of those. Those are the greatest. He's got like 1 million of those stock photos, so that's great.
Favorite ones where it's like it's like he's photoshopped at the conference table with the Avengers, and the caption is just, "So, you thought Shang-Chi would flop at the box office?"
Yeah, a lot of people are having a lot of fun with those. So that was pretty good. So I love those photos. Those are pretty good. I like the one where it looks like he's like in a salsa class or something, like he's in like a Roomba class or something like. That one's also really good. I like the one where he's pointing at the computer. That's always good for memes. That's a good one. So yeah. We're gonna be discussing that as well. The PlayStation Showcase happened. I think it was yesterday. The PlayStation Showcase happened. A lot of big trailers came out for that. It actually makes you excited to actually have a PS5. If you could actually get a PS5, makes you excited to have.
Continue flexing, Josh.
Yeah, I'm one of those people. I was dedicated to the show, so I needed to have it for business purposes. You know what I mean? So I'm
Tax write-off then.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So
I would have gotten it, but I had circumstances that kept me from being able to afford it.
Yes, you got got all Bubbles there. Well, Bubbles, that was a very good investment. Bubbles is great for the show. Got a nice little emoji.
We reached 69 followers. Nice.
Yeah, so you can, people, if you go,
and now 7.
Oh yeah, 70. Yeah, that's because host followed us, so thanks for that. Don't know if that's a bot or not, because sometimes there's like a follow that happens that's kind of like a bot kind of ish. So I don't know.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, so I don't know. But you can spam the nice little Bubbles emote that we have there. Also, we got the nice little emotes made by Giuliano. Also got Nick's hair. He's not showing off the hair right now, but we got that one there. We got the Chase is a hater emote as well. So we got that. That's a good one that you can spam if you want to be a hater like Chase is. Also Miller. Miller's in the chat. I actually work with him. Good guy. If you could all drop him a follow as well, follow him, support him. He streams a lot of times. Dead by Daylight. I've never played Dead by Daylight. Has anybody here ever played that game?
Yeah.
I have not. No.
Okay, Dusk.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Okay, yeah.
It's just a game of like you got 4 players versus the one villain. If you ever played Friday the 13th kind of game, it's more a balanced version of that where you play the villain and you want to keep you from getting caught, and he places you or they place you on like a thing that kind of traps you and impales you, and while they do other things, and you don't really have a lot of weapons or abilities to kind of fight off. You got to start generators or find a way out. It's fun when you have people working together with you. It can be a lot of fun and pretty nail biting.
Yeah, yeah,
Sweet.
yeah. I like seeing him stream. Miller, he's a good streamer. He's pretty funny. Yeah, I really enjoy watching him there. And when I see people play Dead by Daylight, it looks pretty fun. I may play it one of these days. Dust, you might have to try it out one of these days. Playing Dead by
Yeah,
Daylight.
we definitely should. If we can get up to 4 people, that'd be great. But even with two, it'd be fine.
Yeah. It's on console, right? It's on PS4, right? PS4,
Oh
PS.
yeah, it's on consoles, on Xbox, PC. It's on everything.
Yeah. So yeah. So we'll maybe try that out one of these days. So after the news, we're gonna be also getting into best of. So me and Nick also came up with a best of the year so far, movies that we've seen. Just realizing like we have almost like what 4 months until 2022 comes up. So this year kind of
Yeah.
yeah flew by. So we're gonna be discussing kind of best of the year so far and what all that what all we've kind of seen. So how is everybody doing? Everybody doing good? Uh, doing
Yeah,
good.
I'm doing fine.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're doing good. Oh, okay. Yeah, thought you couldn't hear me there for a second. Yeah. But yeah, I'm doing pretty well. Like I said, wasn't able to see the card counter with Oscar Isaac. But yeah, I just woke up. I was just out of it today. But yeah, still got into a lot of stuff. It's nice watching these movies at home. Like HBO Max, these movies being there because it's just I don't have to have time to go to the theater and then come back, and then that takes up a large chunk of time. That's why a lot of times these shows are at 9 p.m. or 8 p.m. Central Standard Time because the going back and forth to the theater and then coming back and then going to the theater, there's always that like when the show says it starts at 2:30, doesn't really start at 2:30. It starts at maybe like 3 or something because just the amount of previews they have before. That's always annoying, and then so that takes up a lot of time. So it's just like, yeah, so that takes up a large chunk of time. But just sitting at home watching to be able to watch it's very very convenient. And then recently, Halloween Kills that got announced that it's going to be Peacock and it's going to be released in theaters when it comes out in October, which is pretty. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that news that it's going to be released on Peacock?
Um, I'm down for it. I mean, it's another fucking streaming service that I have to get. But anytime one of these movies is going to streaming, I'm always excited for it. Especially considering where I live, stuff doesn't always come in day and date as it does in the States. Especially with horror movies. Like we talked about this with Candyman, how
Yeah.
because I live in Japan, that's not coming out for like another 2 months.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's pretty nice.
If any come out at all.
Yeah, so I basically for a majority of releases, at normal times, I pretty much have to wait for it to come on streaming in order to review it.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's pretty convenient. I wonder if they're gonna do it where there's like a premium service. I don't know if they said that in the article whether or not they're gonna do like a whole. You have to pay like maybe $20, $30 to see it, or it's just if you just subscribe to the streaming service, you just get it.
Well, I think on the little tagline for the promo, it said available at no extra charge or available with this level subscription. Because I know Peacock they have free memberships, but they also have like hey, you pay this much, you get no ads. You pay this much, you have access to premium content, kind of like what Hulu did back in the day.
Okay, yeah. Because I downloaded the Peacock app on my PlayStation to watch Candyman. Because Candyman, the first Candyman '92 is free on Peacock, so you can watch that if you check that out. But Miller, he said he'd be down to be the third in Dead by Daylight. So yeah, I mean he definitely
Oh,
would be.
sweet.
So he'd be
I'm
the
getting it.
expert in that, showing us the way because I'd have absolutely no idea what I would be doing in that game. I'd definitely be getting
That's fair.
killed a lot. So yeah, so
Yeah.
it'd be nice having him as an expert there. All right, so let's get into some news, people. I'm gonna start off with the somber news first. The unfortunate passing of Michael K. Williams. Michael K. Williams, very recognizable guy. Of course, he starred in a lot of great things. I first saw him probably how many people first saw him was in The Wire, where he played Omar. What was you guys' exposure to Michael K. Williams? Was it the first one was The Wire or?
Shit, I think the first time I actually took note of Michael K. Williams was his small role on Community. Mother.
Okay. Nick had to just dip there for a second. So yeah, Michael K. Williams, he was in a bunch of stuff. The Community was also one of the things he was in. He was also made appearances in other kind of TV shows. Like it's kind of cool to see like his career, like after usually sometimes an actor when they're on like a hugely popular TV show, their career doesn't always take off all the way. Like sometimes like in Breaking Bad, like I think Bryan Cranston, his career really, kind of you see his career really the trajectory of that has still gone up. But I think with Aaron Paul, like they tried to kind of make him a leading man with kind of things like Need for Speed and things like that, but it doesn't seem like it to be working out all that well. But after The Wire, Michael K. Williams was able to get in, which is The Wire is considered like one of the greatest shows ever made. He was able to get into kind of another great show. Like if you go on a list of like top 50, top 100 shows, you'll see a list like Boardwalk Empire was on there, which is a show he was also on where he played Chalky White as well on there as well. So yeah, I mean he kind of had this really great long career. Dust, what was kind of your first exposure to Michael K. Williams?
I have to say, Gone Baby Gone.
I forgot he was in that.
He
Okay.
made, yeah, it's a really small part. He plays Devin, but yeah, it's just something about it that I kind of dug about it. It's just such a small role, but yeah, he's just very quickly in it, and I didn't recognize him until I saw him in The Wire later. I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen that guy before. He was in Gone Baby Gone, and then later on, I think, and then he was in shoot, he was in so many things. I'm trying to think. He was also in The Road, although that one's like super quick. He's just a thief in The Road.
Oh yeah, I remember him in The Road. And The Road is a movie, very great dystopian movie there,
Hmm.
apocalypse movie with Viggo Mortensen in it, and they left they left him out in the cold, just underwear,
Oh yeah,
yeah, just shaking and everything like that. Yeah, they had like
yeah.
a small kind of bit.
That's why I kind of remember that because I don't know. There's just something about it, and then I think a lot of people though probably remember him from probably 12 Years a Slave. Mrs. Robert.
Yes, very well.
Yeah,
Um,
but he was
but yeah, he's had quite a lot of different stuff.
yeah, yeah. I mean, he was in kind of a bunch of stuff. Also like just recently seeing him, he was also in like Lovecraft Country, as well.
Hmm.
He had he played the father of the character there of Jonathan Majors, and I think that was a great role for him. People have seen him in recently. He was also in kind of another popular, kind of more smaller TV show called Happen Leonard, which I've been meaning to watch that show, Happen Leonard. It's on Netflix. I've been meaning to binge it because I hear how great it is. That series is based off a book from Joe R. Lansdale, a novel by him, and that very very good stuff. I always hear very very positive stuff about that series as well. And he had a very identifiable look to him because obviously he had the scar down his face, and he got the scar because I was remembering an interview he did with the Breakfast Club, and he said that it was like I think it was a situation that was like an incident at a bar, and he was fighting with a guy, and then he was talking to, and it was another black guy, and he was trying to talk to him, and they got into a little bit of argument. He says, man, we don't have to do this, man. You know what I mean? We both black. We don't have to get into this. Why is it always black people fighting each other? And then he saw the guy who was like sucking his teeth, and obviously he was trying to get a razor blade out of his mouth. And then that's when he kind of slashed him across the face with the razor blade, and that's how he kind of ended up with the long scar across his face. And in his career, kind of dates back, even 20 plus years because he knew Tupac. He was in a movie with him where he was like an extra, and how he talked about the story. He also told on the Breakfast Club in the same interview of how Tupac picked him out because of that look that he had, of that scar, and he looked like a tough dude, and he's like, oh, you'd be perfect, to roll in kind of my crew and everything like this. And he said it's like, listen, I know I portray them with these tough characters in movies and shows, like Omar, but he also said, like, in real life, like, listen, I'm a cream puff dude. Like, I don't like violence at all. Like, I don't want nothing. You know what I mean? I'm just strictly that. You know what I mean? I'm just a cream puff guy. Not a fighter at all. So that was kind of interesting because he was a dancer. So he was kind of this gentle soul in a way, and an amazing actor. And
Yeah.
I can't really think of a time he really had a bad performance. Every time I've ever seen him, I mean, he's always knocked it out of the park every single time.
What's probably gonna kind of drive you a little bit crazy. I didn't realize until much later, until after I heard him. Have you ever seen F is for Family?
Yeah, I think I've
Yeah.
seen a couple episodes.
Yeah,
of
he's
it.
Smokey Greenwood. He was Smokey Greenwood in that.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Oh,
he's
okay.
Smokey Greenwood, and think this is supposed to be the last season. They already finished all the recording, so that'll be one of the last things that'll probably come out prior to him finishing it. It's a good thing they finished up. That's the last season. But yeah, I love Smokey. He's one of my favorite side characters on that show, and I didn't even think about it because he just plays this character. You don't even think about him. And I was just reminiscing and looking it up, and I went, wait, oh shoot, yeah, he is Smokey. He was Smokey. Oh man.
Yeah.
So it's just one of like just piggybacking on what you said. Like sometimes hard to kind of tell. He has certain roles that you wouldn't even think about it, but yeah.
Yeah. I remember it like also like he was also MCU because he had like a super brief cameo. I don't know if you all remember this, but maybe it's because he was so distinctive and I remember him so much. But he was also in like an Incredible Hulk. I don't know if you remember this
Oh yeah.
because he was
Oh,
yeah, like he was an extra in the scene. I'm playing the clip right now on stream here, and he just shows up really quick. Where Abomination is tearing up like downtown, and he just comes out of an alley for some reason, and it's this Michael K. Williams, and he just pops up and he just reacts to him throwing a car. I was like, oh man. So I was like, oh shit, that's Michael K. Williams. I remember you watched that movie, and this was because Incredible Hulk came out in 2008. So I think this was
wow.
around the time he was in The Wire. So he was, kind of coming up
Yeah.
there.
And that was like a year, and that was before another movie he was in called Brooklyn's Finest. That came out a year later.
Okay, yeah. So
Yeah, he's also in Brooklyn's Finest.
yeah, so he had a lot of good resume of shows, movies that he was in. Yeah, very much so. And how he died was, they found him in his apartment. So it was, apparent, overdose there, and things like that. So that's just kind of very sad stuff.
Yeah.
But he left, you know what I mean, I think a great, legacy, being in all these kind of great shows, movies, being such a, great person to work with. You have a lot of people who express their, remorse and everything like that and condolences. So, yeah, very, very sad news. Yeah, very much so. So, any final word from you two about Michael K. Williams at all? What season of Community was he in? Was he in like the later season, like season 4?
He was in the third season. He's like
He was
the
the doctor,
biology
right?
professor. Yeah, he was the biology professor
Yeah.
that they had. And only he can fucking deliver the line is like, make your point, Miss Edison. May I remind you, this is not a courtroom.
Yeah.
And he was like the judge in their Law and Order episode.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Which is funny because he also cameoed in that series too, and that series as well. I would recommend, if you want to check out another great performance by him, check out the series The Night of.
The Night of. Oh yes, he was. Yeah, he was in the Night of with
shit.
Riz
Yeah,
Ahmed.
I forgot about that.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was. The person.
That's a fantastic miniseries. It's a fantastic little series based on the British series, I believe, called Crimes or something. But it was based on the British show, and then we did kind of that on HBO. Yeah, The Night of was really good. I think he was nominated for a couple awards as well for his performance as well. Correctly.
Yeah. That was a very, very great series. That's what Riz Ahmed he kind of blew up from, was that HBO miniseries The Night of. Yeah, I forgot about The Night of. Yeah, that's a great, great kind of list there, Dust there. Yeah. Yeah, thank you for that recommendation to people. Yeah, because The Night of is an amazing series.
Yeah, people. I talk about it sometimes, and the people, which is kind of almost collectively been forgotten, despite all the accolades. It's just one of those things when it came out.
Yeah, sometimes that happens. Miniseries, just kind of came and went kind of for a lot of people. But that's kind of the best. HBO does those little miniseries that comes out that you can just consume real quick. Then it's a nice little story, and then it's over. It's like that's great for it. So. But yeah, I mean, he was continuously working. He was just 54 years old. Still pretty young.
I know, man.
Still had a lot more life to give and everything. So yeah, it's a shame. All right.
R.I.P.
Yeah, rest in power to Michael K. Williams. So moving on from discussing Michael K. Williams, we're going to be discussing some, try to lighter news here. A big success for Shang-Chi. And here, so it broke the Labor Day weekend. Walt Disney's film had a $90 million 4-day opening weekend in the U.S. and Canada, obliterated the previous record of the Labor Day weekend, which is typically an end of summer quiet time for Hollywood. Does anybody know what was the previous record holder?
The previous record holder, it was Rob Zombie's House 2, I think.
Yes, that is correct.
But that only held like 30 some million during that weekend.
Yep, it was Rob Zombie's.
Kudos to that, Nick. Damn.
Yeah. It was Rob Zombie's 2007 Halloween at $30.6 million. So yeah, it completely just trounced all over that Labor Day weekend there. Also, much
beat the shit out of Michael Myers.
Yeah. And Michael Myers
He's got 10 rings.
Yeah, he can't handle those hands, I guess. So it was, huge success, broke records. I definitely didn't see it coming simply because, I mean, I know a lot of people are still nervous about the pandemic and going into the theater.
Yes, by all accounts, yeah. Under these circumstances, the movie came out. It should not have done as well as it did.
Yeah.
I think it also hit just this right window where things are kind of lighting up, but just before another storm is kind of hitting in. So at the small window where it's like, okay, things are kind of picking up, so we might go. So I think that also was a very big help to it as well. Very excellent timing on all rounds.
I think maybe also a factor is because it's been a while since we've had a martial arts movie done this well come from a Western studio. Yeah. It's been a while, and I think there's like a hunger for that.
True, and it's also a shame that I don't know if you mentioned this, but the martial arts choreographer for some of the really great scenes.
Brad Allen.
Yeah,
yes,
he also unfortunately passed this way.
Yeah. So to go on in this Los Angeles Times article here, it says AMC Theaters, the world's largest circuit, on Tuesday said that this was the first time that its audience numbers exceeded those of the same weekend pre-pandemic. AMC's share price increased 9% to $47. Increased 9% to $47.83 on Tuesday. So the thing is, because there were a lot of movies that were being pushed back, like, Venom 2 got pushed back. They decided, okay, maybe things are too hot right now. Maybe going to push it back. Also, Jackass 4 got pushed back. Also, Top Gun Maverick, that also got pushed back. So it begs the question. So will movie studios start to reconsider? It's like, okay, well, maybe we should stick to, our original schedule, go back to it, or change it up because of the success of this. But then again, it's like I would say to that is, they're not Marvel movies. You know what I mean? A lot of people were, very anticipated to see, these Marvel movies. Black Widow, you could say like, well, why didn't that work out for Black Widow?
Yeah, Black Widow, it also came in day and date with streaming, so that absolutely hurt its box office.
Yeah, that hurt its box. I mean, there was numerous factors of why Black Widow didn't do that well.
Very numerous.
Yeah, I mean, it's delayed. The fact that it was released simultaneously to Disney Plus and to theaters. The pandemic, I also think, played a part in it. Also, the fact that it was a prequel, so it's like, well, it doesn't really add anything to the, Marvel story. And a lot of these things are all about, like, watching this movie to lead to the next thing. Right. It's like, well, we already know the fate of the Black Widow character, so...
The plot in itself, the premise, and some of the characterizations also maybe rub some people the wrong way. And, yeah, like you said, it's kind of like, well, we already know what this ends.
Yeah, so it's like, it's like a little, a lot of people when they watched it, it's like, well, this is a little too late. I mean, you really should have capitalized off of Black Widow probably after Winter Soldier, I think.
Been phase 3.
Yeah, probably something like that.
Yeah, the movie came out, like, I think 10, maybe 6 years too late.
Yeah.
I'd even give it, like, 4. If it came out right after Civil War, I think people would have been totally...
Oh, yeah, if it came out right after Civil War, it would have been... I think it would have been regarded as one of the better MCU movies.
Yeah, I mean, if it came out like right after, because Black Widow takes place like in between Civil War anyway, so it's like if it came out right after then, I think it would have probably made a better maybe in between other than like Captain Marvel in between maybe like something that before Infinity War it probably would have been better. Because really you didn't really need Captain Marvel before Infinity War. You could have just introduced.
Honestly, that would have been a better setup if it was the Black Widow movie before that. Would have also made what happens later far more impactful.
Yeah, yeah. So I think that would have probably made more sense. And then the ending credits of like Black Widow could have been like where you see Chris Evans show up or something like that, and something like that. So or her freeing one of them or something. So yeah. So
or some narrative device.
yeah. So and then the LA Times article goes on to talk about things like the Top Gun Maverick, how Paramount Pictures last week delayed Top Gun Maverick from its November release date due to May, shortly after the studio showcased footage of the film to an eager exhibitors in Las Vegas at CinemaCon. Sony Pictures is selling the rights to Hotel Transylvania 4 to Amazon Prime, and MGM has decided to release the Addams Family 2 to premium video on demand in theaters at the same time. But on the heels of Shang-Chi, Sony on Monday said it would release the big budget Marvel sequel Venom Let There Be Carnage 2 weeks earlier than expected on October 1st. Sean Robbins, chief analyst at Box Office Pros, said that Shang-Chi release could be confidence boost for distributors. Yeah, I mean, the first Venom movie made a lot of money. I don't know about this.
Yeah,
go ahead.
It made a lot of money, and I think Venom, the first one, it made a lot of money, and it's well regarded among people who aren't comic book fans. Yeah. Like most of the people that casually know Spider-Man that I talked to at work, they loved it.
Yeah.
Me, I think the movie's kind of terrible. I think it works better if you look at it as a romantic comedy with Venom and Eddie.
Yeah,
but that's just my opinion on the movie. If it made money, great. It gets more comic book movies out there.
Yeah.
Venom is a beautiful, beautiful trash fire. And it was everything. It was what there were only two different ways this movie was going to go. It was either going to go, it's going to be surprisingly good or absolutely terrible. And Tom Hardy happened.
And what we got ended up being somewhere in the middle.
Yeah, kind of in the middle, where it's like Tom Hardy somehow pulled it from the briny deep just before it got swallowed and completely destroyed. And he was able to like turn it just enough where it's not pretty, but I had enough fun with it where it's like, yeah, this isn't terrible. It's a train wreck for sure, and it's a mess. But hey, I had fun.
It's a movie that I think succeeds in spite of its director and Ruben Fleischer, who
and premise.
Besides Zombieland, the guy's a one-hit wonder.
Yeah.
And then so also to keep things also in kind of perspective with the Shang-Chi film, overseas it hasn't done as well. It's actually done worse than Black Widow has done, 29% worse. And also, that also has to do with like, most of the theaters kind of overseas, like, different, again, pandemic, most theaters are closed.
Yeah. Different pandemic rules. I saw it in a theater here. And they had it, it's like every other seat, it's blocked off. You can't sit there. Even if you're in the same group, you can't sit right next to each other. And I think a big thing that's going to affect the box office internationally is the film still doesn't have a release date in China.
Yeah.
Because Simu Liu, he's been very critical about Chinese politics. On top of that, they're not too crazy about the kind of racist roots of the character of both the Mandarin and Shang-Chi.
Yeah. So that, like Nick said, that's a lot of kind of the reasons why that. Also, that they may hinder the film from making as much money as it can, because overseas is a huge part of why these movies make as much money as they do.
Yeah, there's literally an alternate cut of Iron Man 3 just for China.
Yeah, so Yeah, and also like with also happened with Avengers: Age of Ultron. Like the Doctor in that movie, she had a whole extra scenes more like when it got released in China than it did over here. Like she was a whole really fleshed out character in that release over there, as opposed to here. So yeah, yeah. So I that's gonna play a big part in the movie as well. But still successful. I mean, it hey, broke a record Labor Day weekend.
Oh
Awesome.
yeah,
Awesome for that movie. Did very well. So didn't flop.
big win,
Didn't
big
bomb.
win for us Asian superheroes.
Yeah. And Simon Liu, his troll game is pretty good. Instagram, Twitter, really using those stock photo memes pretty well.
They Disney needs to cut him a check just by how much his trolling has probably aided the marketing of Shang-Chi.
Yeah. I mean, he knows what he's a funny guy. He knows what to do. Yeah, and he was pretty cool. He threw out the pitch of the San Francisco game, throughout the first pitch, and the fit was pretty nice. Had some nice Jordans on, did a black flip. I was like, okay, all right, yeah, okay, that's a cool guy. Okay, you can
Yeah,
really like him.
in case you forgot that he did most of the stunts in Shang-Chi himself.
Yeah, very
In
good.
case you forgot.
Yeah, so yeah, good for the movie. I might see it again. Might check it out in theaters again. Might go see it myself. It's gonna be released on Disney.
I'm 100%. I'm 100% gonna try and see it again.
Yeah. It's gonna be released in Disney Plus, like I think in 45 days, 40 something days, like that. It's gonna be
Oh,
released
sweet.
on Disney Plus. I think I was reading somewhere, so I might do that. All right. So moving on from discussing that, gonna discuss Matrix 4. The trailer for that just dropped. It was a whole teaser before the trailer kind of came out. And so this is kind of Matrix Resurrection. And in the trailer you have pretty much everybody back except for Lawrence Fishburne. A lot of people asking, well, where the hell is Lawrence Fishburne? But they got a new black man. They upgraded. They got Yahya Abdul-Mateen. They were like, okay, we need to swap out the.
I wouldn't say upgraded. I'd say this is more of a lateral move.
Well, I shouldn't say upgraded, but just got a new black man, kind of put in there. And Yahya, we were just talking about Yahya Abdul-Mateen. He's in everything. He's like the new guy that they picked for everything, and good for him. I mean, I love him. I think he's a great actor. He's really amazing. Just saw him in Candyman. I thought he did a very good job in Candyman. And this is going to be directed by Lana Wachowski. Not so it's not going to be a duo like how they did in the first film, how it was Lana and Lily. They're only going to, so it's only one person directing it. And the reason that the other sister isn't directing it is because she just said like, well, it just seems like, especially since, they were doing so many projects and like things like Cloud Atlas, things like Sense 9, which I haven't seen Cloud Atlas. I haven't seen Sense 9. I know Sense 8. I'm sorry.
Sense 8.
Yeah, Sense 8. I'm sorry.
I wasn't too crazy about either of them. I hated Jupiter Ascending.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, a lot of people, did not like Jupiter Ascending, but Lily didn't come back because the schedule of just kind of doing those projects was just a lot, constant shooting, and then the idea to return to do. Oh, good.
I mean, shit. They made all of the money in the world with the first movie. Let them retire in peace if they want to.
Yeah, that was very true. And so, and they were just like, she was like, just the idea of going back to do something old that they did, 20 plus years ago, just wasn't, just in the cars for her, just wasn't, just the right frame of mind to her. So only one of the sisters coming back to direct this, and that is Lana. What did you guys think about the trailer, and are you excited to see a fourth Matrix film?
So, when they first announced this, I was not on board at all. I think the first Matrix movie is one of the greatest sci-fi action movies of all time. The sequels, however, I think they burn a lot of that goodwill from the first movie, and I don't think the Wachowskis have made something as good or even close to it since then. I've heard great things about Sense8. I'll most likely amend my opinion after I view that. However, this trailer, Fox. I think it's I think this is kind of gonna be like the Force Awakens for the Matrix, bringing back a lot of the old cast for it, going back to what I think the roots of this franchise is. It's talking about the philosophy of existing, because that's very much what the first movie was about. That was about how some people just go about through life as drones, and this is about waking up to see the real world. And I think they're going to do something very similar here, especially with how it looks like Neo. He's like got amnesia or something, and this is like him rediscovering a lot of his power.
Okay. Dusk.
I'm surprisingly mostly in agreement with Nick on his feelings on Wachowskis. I think no, we don't always agree on certain things, on a lot of
Yeah,
things. But
most of the shows we do together are like a couple of minutes away from coming to blows a little bit.
Sometimes it's more just I don't see the perspective you do, but I
Okay.
am mostly in line with everything you say. I think besides they made one really game-changing movie, the first Matrix, and then after that they've never been able to recapture the magic, and the sequels kind of burned all the goodwill that first one had, and kind of didn't learn the lessons of that first one. I was also, like you, completely uninterested in seeing another Matrix. I was like, oh god, what are they? It was already terrible enough. Why we got to do this again? But I'll give it to whoever made that trailer. Everything inside that trailer was everything I could have ever really wanted, or at least in a modern way. Like, if you're gonna do this again, what are you gonna do with the sequel? We're gonna go back to things being metaphors. We're gonna go back to the illusion. We're gonna go back to what does it mean to be alive and living, and what is the Matrix. Let's go. We'll go back to Neo as a character and an arc of a character, and I'm really hoping that almost in a way, four is like forget about those other two movies. Just like it ended on that first one, and then just something happened, and it's passed, and he did all these things off screen, and then he just doesn't remember, and it's like a reawakening. I'm also only from the trailer that I've seen. I'm also somewhat pleased that he's not just I'm just not going to do anything this movie. It very seems like he's not taking a back seat. This is a very specific Keanu Reeves role.
Yeah, and that was kind of the problem with the latter two sequels. Neo just became so overpowered that they had to sideline him for a majority of of Reloaded and Revolutions.
Yeah, he was just he wasn't a character anymore. He was just he's just a prop to put whatever action scenes we kind of want. The idea that he is
which is a problem when you write a character as the chosen one,
right,
or the one.
Yeah. So in this trailer, so like I said, we have some newcomers here. Yahya Abdul-Mateen, who is playing Morpheus, who is replacing Lawrence Fishburne as the character. So there's some kind of theories possibly that maybe he's the grandson of Lawrence Fishburne's character. You also have like returning people like Keanu Reeves, Carrie-Anne Moss. Jada Pinkett Smith is also going to be returning. So there's some possibility that people think that maybe Jada Pinkett Smith is going to be his mother in it, maybe possibly, and then so they're the son character of Lawrence Fishburne. You also have Jessica Henwick in this. People know from she was in Iron Fist. She was also
you all remember her as the only person that gave a shit during Iron Fist.
You know what I mean? Pretty much. Yeah, she was the one there. And she was also Sand Snake in Game of Thrones. So she plays a role here. So
and wonderful in Love and Monsters.
Oh yes, Love and Monsters was also a really good film that we watched there. She also had a great role there. So here with the trailer that we have, The Matrix obviously is something that still is heavily involved in pop culture. Still to this day. I mean, it's
take a drink every time Fox News drops a fucking take the red pill metaphor.
I mean that became a whole ideology, philosophy for people, taking the red pill, and then it got kind of adopted by somewhat of the wrong people because, I mean, the Matrix.
To this day, my favorite interaction on social media. It's like Elon Musk fucking tweeted, "Take the red pill." Ivanka Trump retweeted it, and the Wachowskis just said, "Fuck both of you."
Yeah. I forgot which sister said that. I forgot which one said that, but
I think it might have been Lana.
Yeah, okay, maybe it was her. I gotta insert that screenshot into the show, but yeah. So the film is still heavily involved, and then when the first Matrix came out, everybody wanted to do the Matrix. Everybody wanted to do the whole
Oh yeah.
slow motion and the whole freeze frame, jumping up in the air, and then they still even
Yeah,
WB.
the 90s was a time where we got one incredible game-changing movie and then about like 30 other knockoffs of that. Like we got how many Tarantino ripoffs with something like Reservoir Dogs? How many stuff ripping off The Matrix? How many stuff ripping off Scream?
Yeah, I mean, so I mean that is kind of something very cool that you were able to do that to start a whole movement of people who did want to copy off you and kind of do the film that you wanted to do. So that is pretty kind of great that you were able to do that. And it did kind of set a whole new standard for kind of these movies and those cyberpunk genre and action and everything like that. Like the Matrix, after Matrix, you had something like Equilibrium, who really tried to kind of ride that wave. You had things like Charlie's Angels, who did kind of action wise, who did the same thing. Even just recently, you had Space Jam, who even had to include a scene in the Matrix in there because they had to promote it for their new promote the Matrix
Warner
upcoming.
Bros. Will never let you forget they own the rights.
Yeah,
We own that.
they had to do it.
Yeah,
So
Warner Brothers. Yeah, Warner Brothers is that asshole hype beast that is flexing everything they fucking own.
yeah, very much. Nick says this with a Supreme hat on. Get the Supreme.
Fair point.
But and yet also you have another newcomer, Prinka Chopra, who is this? So some people are saying she's the grown-up version of the little girl that the Oracle had in the Matrix movie. She's kind of her all grown up, possibly. But she was also a.
Oh, so it should be completely useless.
I mean, maybe she's the new Oracle.
Kind of like how she is in most other movies. Oh.
But then, because some people were saying like with that girl, she was like a code in the Matrix. So people wondering how did she get older? You know what I mean? Since she was just like a code in the Matrix. But so I guess
none of that makes sense.
yeah. So we'll see with that. I think the whole idea with the trailer it's very on the nose. It's using Jefferson Airplane's White Rabbit. Because obviously the whole film is very much a metaphor for an analogy to Alice in Wonderland and
Which was in the first one.
That was a huge that was a big part of the first one.
And that got dropped after that first movie. Like they dropped that immediately.
Yeah, and then even
it almost makes you wonder if the Wachowskis originally they had plans to just do The Matrix as a standalone.
I believe it was a standalone.
And the studio pressured them into making sequels for it.
Yeah. That's pretty much what happened. Yeah. They were like, the studio came and was like, well, this is a huge hit. We kind of want sequels. And they were kind of like,
motherfucker, you know how much money that made?
Yeah, because at the end, like I said, Neo is God, basically. Because the whole movie is also like a Jesus metaphor, too. As well with the whole one, and then so with this it being resurrection, since Neo is basically Jesus and he sacrificed himself to save people in the last film, then he's resurrected here. Accompanying the
even got the Jesus / John Wick haircut.
Yeah, the beard makes him look young, man. They had to keep the beard.
Yeah, it really does.
Yeah. We saw how the second he shaved that, he aged like 30 years in Bill and Ted.
Yeah, he kind of needs the beard. It's like that's keeping his youngness right there. It's like he kind of needs. He's still a good-looking guy without the beard, but you can tell like he looks very much younger with it. And so in the movie you see kind of also shots of him using his abilities. So and you bring up the point of Force Awakens, right? How Force Awakens was kind of this soft reboot / kind of remake, a little bit of the first A New Hope from Star Wars. It's a good thing and bad thing, I think, because I did like Force Awakens. It's a fun movie. It's got a lot of energy to it. It's got good pace to it, but it is essentially A New Hope kind of over again. And I kind of don't want to see Matrix Resurrections just be the first Matrix over again. So in this, it maybe.
I think when there's enough bad will with the sequels, that's not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah, I mean that was the same situation with Star Wars, where it's like, okay, you had the prequels, and then so many people had that all that taste in their mouth, and then so you kind of wanted to go back to something that felt so familiar for people, and you know what I mean. So you want to go back with the original movies. So this one, if Resurrections tries to go back to what the first one, what people loved about that one, I don't know, you know what I mean, if how receptive are people going to be to it, because maybe the first one. I mean, the first one was I think a lightning in a bottle situation of that first one, where it was just kind of set a whole movement off, and with the whole that look, and with the black boots and the trench coats and the shades, and now if you did that. That'd be corny as hell, because you see a lot of people who, when they're in the Matrix, they don't dress like that anymore. They wear more modern, kind of clothes, because that did look kind of stupid in the first one. How like these people are like, okay, I'm gonna have my own, avatar in this Matrix and try not to be identified by these agents, but I'm gonna wear this big ass black coat, big ass black boots and jeans and all this. It's like,
Sunglasses
yeah,
inside.
yeah, you know what I mean. Like
To
I'm
be fair,
trying to,
that was 90. That was 90
Yeah, to be
chic.
fair, that was the '90s chic.
yeah, I mean that
But
was the '90s
yeah,
thing.
but
Yeah,
once that picture of Ben Shapiro dressed like a fucking Matrix dude with a
Oh yeah.
samurai sword, once that picture surfaced, drop that shit. Nope.
yeah,
Yep.
like yeah. That so now it's people. You have people with the different color hair wearing Urban Outfitter kind of clothes, wearing the bomber jackets, the sweaters. So you kind of have that look kind of going on. Um, And then I think you also kind of have him where he's kind of in these therapy sessions. He's taking these blue pills that are suppressing him in a way, and him trying to finally wake up. And you see kind of some similarities there, like where you see a scene where he's got a gun pointed at, where Neo has a gun pointed at his head. Kind of very much like it with kind of the sprinklers going off, very reminiscent of what happened in the first Matrix when they saved Lawrence Fishburne, Morpheus, and they saved him. That situation where he was being held hostage by the agent there.
Yeah, even in the trailer, I see a lot of iconography from the first movie. Like in that little snippet with Neo and Trinity together, it looked kind of like that lobby that they tore up in the first movie in that epic shootout.
Mm.
Oh, okay. I
It
didn't notice
looked a
that.
little bit like that.
Okay.
It. So I heard a theory. This is just a small theory, but I kind of like it. I like that the idea that this movie is what would have happened if Neo took the blue pill in the very first movie, and it's just like Pete just kept on suppressing, and it's kind of like, all right, but I don't know. That's not. It's an interesting theory, but I highly doubt it. But I am. This trailer has done one thing. I didn't care about seeing another Matrix movie. I had no expectations. This trailer has done almost the impossible, where now I have some expectations. Not a lot, but I have some now, and
Yeah,
it needs to own up to that.
yeah, whoever cut this trailer, Warner Brothers
Kudos.
cut them a check because they did the impossible. They got me excited for a Matrix sequel, a movie that I've written off completely until Thursday morning when I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess my fear with it. I mean, I'll be eager to see it. I mean, I think it's got a good cast. People come back. I'm interested to see what she does with the film. What new can she bring to the Matrix? How to revitalize it? But one thing that kind of concerns me, like you see scenes like where the scene where he's in an elevator and you have everybody kind of on their phones and what I mean, got their plugged in with their laptops and iPads and stuff like that, and stuff like in the '90s. Where you had movies like Fight Club, you had movies like The Matrix, movies like about society, about the culture, about things like that, and then you're trying to update it more to modern times. Too many people are on their phones, and that's like we're in the Matrix, dude, because like we're on our phones and computers all the time, dude, and you know what I mean. That's really our Matrix, you know what I mean. It's like maybe it's trying to make, you know what I mean.
Shut up.
You know what I mean? So I'm fearing that it may be so heavy handed and that type of messaging with technology.
And it
And
might dilute the narrative and stuff like that.
yeah.
That is a legitimate fear. I feel you on that.
And that's kind of what happened in the Matrix sequels.
Yeah. So
Yeah, very much so.
So I'm kind of worried about that a little bit. And now that a lot of people are very aware about more politics in movies now. I think more than maybe they previously were. that a lot of people are going to be saying, I can't wait for the discourse of when did Matrix get political, and it's always been political. I can't wait for that discourse to happen.
Wait,
But
I can't wait to watch Tucker Carlson's brain explode when he realizes that the Matrix was always a trans allegory.
yeah, yeah. So I mean, so that's kind of always been the thing. People say like, well, no, that was never the original intent. It's going back and changing the story. It's like, no, that's. I mean, if you listen to them, listen to the Wachowski sisters talk about it. It's like they're one of the characters in it. I've got her name. Was it
I think it was. I
Was
I
it
don't remember the
Ghost?
character.
Ghost?
I don't remember the character's
think
name,
it was
but I
Ghost.
remember.
The girl
Oh,
name was Ghost.
Yeah, Ghost. Yeah.
The ambiguous individual with short white hair was named Ghost.
no, the character's name was Switch.
Switch. Damn, you're right.
Yeah,
Switch.
the character's name was Switch.
Was the
and
other guy
I don't-
named Ghost then?
Somebody was named
let's
Ghost.
see, there was.
Somebody was named Ghost. One of those two died.
I'm looking
Both
at
of them
the
died.
IMDb. So there was like
Yeah.
a APOC, Mouse, and Switch.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I'm sorry. It was
Tank,
APOC.
Tank and Dozer were the guys in the chair.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It was
And Joe
APOC.
Pantoliano and Joey Pants was
Joey
the
Pants.
asshole in that movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the person that originally in the story, she was supposed to be it was supposed to be a man in the real world, but then it was supposed to be a woman when it was in the Matrix. That's how they originally planned it to be.
But 1999, the studio, they
That would never
get that out of here.
Yeah.
Get that out of here.
Yeah.
remove the budget, make it an indie movie. Then you would have been able to do that,
Yeah.
and nobody would have seen it until years later, and then people would have called it a revolution, and then they would have been like, "How about maybe we could have made money?" No.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I think I'm eager to see what they do with it, see what happens, and what they do, and yeah. So it comes out December. This Christmas. So
December 22nd. That week is going to be packed because I think that and Spider-Man, they both come out within the same week.
yeah.
Speaking of Spider-Man,
Yes. Speaking of good old there, Spider-Man. We also have the PlayStation Showcase, and they dropped a bunch of trailers there for a lot of people, and they did drop a short little teaser for Marvel's Spider-Man 2. So Marvel Spider-Man 2, the first Spider-Man game that dropped on PS4 and all the other consoles. Very, very popular, very critically praised game, beloved by also like fans. I played the game, loved it a lot. How about you guys? Did you guys play the game?
That game was the reason I bought a PS4.
damn.
Yeah, I was holding out until that game came and until
Fair
that
enough.
game was released.
Yeah. What about you, Dust?
Very, very good game. The only part I'm not the biggest fan on the ending, but that's subjective. But everything else, from the character of Peter Parker and Spider-Man to the characters of Mary Jane, Norman Osborn, everybody, Miles Morales, everybody, very good,
Yeah.
very good. Even
20
Miles. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, the year that game came out was a wonderful year to be a Spider-Man fan because I think that the game came out, Avengers Infinity War was released, and Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out like months
another
later.
excellent property with the Spider-Man locale. It was very good. Even Miles Morales expansion, could have been better on some of the boss stuff. Miles Morales, they took care of his character. They respected, they improved his character, honestly, from the comics, both that and the Spider-Verse. And it was very good. It's just a very good series. Regardless of some of the small controversies, like they changed his face, which I think is the fact they changed it was so stupid because the first one was fine, but that's fine. Other than that, everything from the characterization, the voice acting, the performances, class act. And, of course, a wonderful last cameo from Stan Lee. It just warms your heart.
Yeah.
It just warms your heart.
Yeah. So in this trailer right here, very short little kind of teaser. It's only like a minute and 20 seconds. So it's just showing off kind of both Miles Morales and Peter Parker, both of them using their abilities. And then you have kind of a voiceover that's playing. And the voiceover, the way the person's talking, the things that they're saying, sounds like it's pretty much Kraven the Hunter.
Yeah.
Talking like that about him seeking a challenge, somebody to fight, a bigger threat, somebody powerful enough to face off against. And so that very much is like kind of like Craven the Hunter. And then, but emerging from the shadows is Venom, who's going to be voiced by Tony Todd.
Yep, I was already excited, and then I heard the dulcet tones of the motherfucking Candyman himself, Tony motherfucking Todd. The second I heard that voice, I was like, shut up and take my money!
So he's going to be, so that's excellent voice casting right there to play Venom.
I did not know that was Tony Todd. I did not catch that initially. I have gotten a hint more excitement at that. That would have been as if they brought Spawn and had Keith David do the voice. Oh wait, they did that for Mortal Kombat.
Oh yeah,
which is why it's great.
Yeah. And then so some of the action that they kind of show here, you see kind of Spider-Man using kind of the, what do you call those weapons necessarily?
Oh, the mechanical,
the robot arms.
Yeah, the robot arms, which were in the first game, but I think it was like exclusive to the Iron Spider.
You could use the Iron Spider ability.
Suit. Yeah, and it looks like they're incorporating it more. I guess Peter looked at Doc Ock and said, "I got to get me some of those."
Yeah. And did you all play the Miles Morales game?
I reviewed it with you, dude.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. You remember that? That was a long time. That was a long time ago. What about you, Dusk?
I have indeed played.
Okay. Yeah. So it says here. So it seems like Miles has a little bit more kind of a power where he's kind of more pushing people back with the electricity. Maybe something a little bit different than we've seen in the game before.
Which was an add-in. I don't believe that was originally with the comics, the whole electricity thing. I don't remember if that was.
I think it was like he had Venom, but
yeah,
they didn't really translated it to electricity because I guess it's easier to draw.
No, yeah, because I think what they did was that it was in the Spider-Verse movie that they really cemented he can turn invisible in electricity. Like they almost reset his whole backstory. Which is better than his actual backstory anyways, and now they've made it canon. So basically, they're like, yeah, no, like that's how it was supposed to go. We totally had this planned. So I think, they're just incorporating, they're just making, okay, this is what he can do. He can turn invisible, we'll learn that later, but he's got the electric thing, which was super fun to play when it was doing the side story.
And even
Miles Morales, it's a fucking incredible game. I think it's a little too short, but I think Insomniac needed it to kind of work out the bugs for what will eventually become Miles' gameplay in Spider-Man 2.
Yeah, it's fair. It was fair for what it was. It was it was like a standalone expansion. Not as long as the original game, but just it's a little expansion.
Yeah, kind of like an Uncharted Lost Legacy. I'd say.
Yeah, or if you're old school and you remember it, like a Dragon Age Awakening.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, I really enjoyed the Miles Morales game. Yes, it was kind of basically extended, kind of DLC a little bit, very short game. But I still think it was, very much fun. I think how much was it? Was it $40? I remember.
Yeah, it was like a $40 game.
Yeah.
$35 if you bought it on the PS4.
And I played it on the PS5. Looked really great there. See what they could really do.
I played it on the PS4.
Yeah, it looked good on PS4 too.
Yeah, there were some bug issues with the PS4 version though that took some patching.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. But I think it did look better on the PS5. You know what I mean? I don't know. But
it looks better on the PS5, but it looks just fine on the PS4.
Okay.
No complaints.
So I was a fan of that game. So do you think you'll switch between Peter and Miles in this game for missions? Like there's going to be...
Well, if you're including if they decide to do the Black Suit storyline, then I'd imagine that you'd switch between Peter and Miles. If they do it like more open world, I can see them doing something like GTA 5 where you were able to switch in between all three characters you were playing as.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It
Okay.
could also be Peter gets with the symbiote on him and he's out of commission for a while, so it's then Miles Morales solo. Peter at first solo, and Miles is his sidekick, sort of. Not his sidekick, but his partner, so to speak, in fights. And then he gets incapacitated, and then Miles takes control, and then late game, when he's in control, then both of them that you can switch independently. Or perhaps they'll do like a Yakuza game where you can just kind of pick, oh, I'm going to play this person, or switch back and forth at any time.
Yeah, because even in the first game, it's a fairly long story, and there are a lot of very distinct chapters that you were specifically playing in, each one with like a different tone. Eventually, in that game, turning almost post-apocalyptic a little bit.
Yeah, New York was a literal shit show.
That was an element I did not see coming, and my jaw was on the floor when they holy fuck you went there. Damn. And I can imagine they'll experiment more with tone, especially introducing Venom in this, so they could possibly play more with horror.
Yeah, Venom is one of those. Well, it's an interesting character on its own. It really gains pretty much prominence when it's with Spider-Man, like especially with Eddie Brock and that kind of stuff. That dynamic,
and it's even hinted that it's not Eddie Brock that's Venom, because they tease the symbiote at the end of the first Spider-Man, and it's in that little stasis tank with Harry Osborn.
Right. I'm fine with that not being the case, and they're doing something different. That's fine. They've made some good choices, so I trust their judgment.
Yeah, at this point, Insomniac, they got carte blanche with me.
Yeah. Aside from the way that first game ended, I wasn't a fan with that. Just the one particular scene. I don't want to spoil it if anyone's never played it. But aside from that, every decision they made, I was completely like, all right.
Yeah, I think I have some issues with the ending too, but I think the performances from Yuri Lowenthal and whomever was the voice actor for all the voice actors for the other characters, I think that carries it.
No, most assuredly does, and it was a bold choice. But other than that, I am excited for a sequel to that kind of a game, and Insomniac has already proven themselves beforehand.
Yeah, and Insomniac's going to get another chance to prove it, because they're working on a Wolverine game.
That's true. We saw a trailer for that too.
Yes, so the Wolverine game, they also announced that at the PlayStation Showcase, also made by Insomniac Games there. So here, it's just, again, short little teaser, doesn't show you much. There's no real gameplay footage here. It's just kind of just introducing, like, hey, we're going to make a Wolverine game. Here, he's in a bar. Lots of guys kind of laid out.
Where the shit out of everything.
Yeah.
Like how so many Wolverine stories start.
Yeah.
Very much.
Very much so. And guys coming up with him a knife, and then that's when he pops out his knives, his claws, and just says Marvel Wolverine there. I think was the last Wolverine game X-Men Origins Wolverine? That was like the last one, right?
Yeah,
standalone. I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, the last standalone Wolverine game was that.
Yeah,
and that game.
Yeah, that's not bad.
One of the few like movie tie-in games that's better than the movie.
Yeah. Probably because they had some extra time to work on it when the movie got delayed, so they had extra time to work on it and everything like that.
Not just that, it got delayed so much that when they were working on it, I think Fox or whatever just literally just said, just do whatever you want. They're not going to delay this. And so they did whatever they wanted. So they made a more hyper-violent Wolverine game like you're supposed to. All I'm hoping for that kind of game is, as long as it's violent but not too stupidly over the top. As long as it's like purposely violent, and we get a Logan-esque Wolverine where like you focus on the character and his struggles on that, I'm sold.
Yeah, same here. And especially because they've confirmed already that this exists in the same universe as the Insomniac Spider-Man games.
Okay, so maybe they're trying to build up to maybe doing an Avengers game eventually.
Yeah. Shit. Just give all of the Marvel games over to
Insomniac. Let them just have them.
because nobody fucking gives a shit about fucking Midnight Suns or fucking Marvel's The Avengers. Sorry, Square Enix, but you dropped the ball.
Yeah.
Yeah, we want narrative-driven games for our characters that we actually like. And they already dropped Daredevil. He offered a card to beat her.
Yeah.
Yeah, they name dropped Daredevil. They name dropped Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, the fucking Avengers.
Yeah, you can see
Yeah,
the
it is.
Avengers Tower in the game if you swing in, in the game.
Fucking the second
Doctor Strange.
Santorum.
Yep. So
Doctor Strange for the whole house.
yeah. So I mean, there's a lot of those references in Marvel Spider-Man. So yeah, I mean, if they're building towards that, that'd be pretty exciting. I think they've done very good with the superhero games so far. And if they can have a more kind of updated, better version of what happened with X-Men Origins Wolverine, the video game, that'd be even better. So something else from the PlayStation Showcase, something that's not a kind of already a thing already. So we got an original IP that we're kind of more interested in is something called Forspoken. It's also a game they kind of showed. Looks very nice. Looks very cool. If anybody's kind of seen the trailer, I'm gonna put it up here on the stream real quick.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, I think this is one of the trailers that I missed. But yeah, go ahead and put it up on the screen.
Yeah, so here it's I'm trying to describe it the best way I can, but it's very kind of cool with her. A lot of kind of parkour action with kind of like Assassin's Creed. Then you have kind of like a little bit of a control aspect with her kind of using these weapons, and then also kind of you have a little bit more of the kind of with the area of her kind of bouncing around more like Uncharted, like using whips and things like that to swing around. Kind of looks like the action kind of gameplay of something like God of War, which looks very exciting. So, and kind of fighting these kind of boss battles like something like Dark Souls of her like using these different element abilities that look very cool. So it looks like a very kind of interesting game the way they use it and the way they do it.
It's interesting that they're using, at least from what I can see, is it's missing like a magic kind of esque thing with like a modern setting, kind of sort of, where you're like, oh, initially we're in the modern world, and now bam, we're in this weird place.
Yeah, I'm always a fan of stories like that, especially because I like that contrast of hey, magic and mysticism, and do it in the modern world. I tend to like a lot of those stories.
Well, for like a half a second until she gets in the portal.
Yeah. So that was kind of one original IP I was kind of very excited about. The rest is kind of stuff they announced. The GTA 5 is going to come to PlayStation 5 updated. Not as excited about that. I mean, whatever. GTA 5, they're going to do that. Whatever. This game's been out.
Rocksteady, you've shown GTA 5 for the last 9 years.
Yeah, it's been out. I can't believe it's been out like almost a decade now, pretty much. I mean, it's close to it. I mean, the game came out in like 2013. Originally got launched, so it's coming close to like almost a decade of games now. They're still putting it on different systems.
They're doing everything they can to not fucking release GTA 6.
And GTA Online, that's still wildly popular for a lot of people. A lot of people still play it a lot. Vivian, this is Vivian. She's a streamer from the Stream Queens that was on the show. I know she plays it a lot. So does baby girl Sadie's, who's also another Twitch streamer. She plays it a lot on there as well. GTA Online. I've never played GTA Online. Never been on there, but have you? Had any of you guys?
I've played the console version of it. It's a lot of fun. I haven't played the PC where you can mod it and how you get that like Second Life simulator.
Okay, yeah. I know a lot of people do it with that with GTA Online. Yeah. So they announced that. They also announced like an Alan Wake remake. They're gonna do. I've never played Alan Wake. I heard it's a pretty good game. I've never kind of played it myself. They also kind of announced like an Uncharted remastered for PlayStation 5. So kind of like those kind of remasters, everything like that. Gran Turismo 7 coming. Not really interested in that. I've never really been interested in any kind of racing game like that, unless it's I don't know, like Mario Kart or anything like that.
They have their enthusiasts, and they love that stuff.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, they people are really kind of into. I mean, they wouldn't make 7 of them if people aren't really into kind of Gran Turismo like that in the series. So that was kind of stuff they kind of showed off. Of course, the big stuff people were talking about, and the final thing that people kind of big were talking about. Of course, well, 2 more things with that. God of War Ragnarok and Star Wars: The Knights of the Old Republic. Knights of the Old Republic though was kind of like, so it's another remake situation they have going on. People pump for that. What do you have to say about it, Dusk, of Knights of the Old Republic and the trailer?
Um, I I am cautiously interested, although in the initial rumors of what the developers said, they said initially they're going to change certain parts of the story in the remake so that it's closer to the current Star Wars canon. And as someone who's not a fan of the current Star Wars canon, um, I just want it to be left alone and to them to just make a really good game with the story they already did with BioWare and Obsidian. Just leave it alone and do what you gotta do. If they're wrong, if they lied or they backpedal on that and they're gonna keep it the way it was and just make the mechanics and gameplay better, more power to it. Personally speaking, I would have maybe liked a Jade Empire remake because that really needs that badly. Knights of the Old Republic I can still play, but hey, it's a great RPG. One of the best plot twists for a character at the very end, and Knights of the Old Republic 2 is one of the best sequel RPGs ever made. That unfortunately was unfinished because they only gave them 10 months to finish it. So hopefully this does well, and it's not including the second Knights of the Old Republic. They'll do the same treatment for 2.
Okay.
But all we saw was we just saw the Sith and have a lightsaber and then darkness and nothing.
Yeah, so it's another teaser situation going on with a lot of trailers. One trailer that kind of did have a lot more going on was God of War Ragnarok, so it actually did show some gameplay. It showed kind of more of what was going on with the story. So here, kind of Ragnarok going on. If you know the story of Ragnarok, which got showcased in Thor Ragnarok, the MCU film, it is all about the destruction of Asgard. And I guess presumably, I mean, you're gonna probably be the destructor.
Well, it's not just Asgard.
Was it, what else is it?
I mean, no, Ragnarok is the death of all gods.
Oh, okay.
The only place it's the destruction of Yggdrasil. It's destruction of Asgard, of Niflheim. It's destruction of everything. The only things that are left over are is Midgard, is Earth. Like the human beings are the only ones to survive Ragnarok, and even just barely. Everything else, it's the destruction of everything. It's one of the few mythos is where it's not the apocalypse where all things are gonna die. It's like no, it's the death of the gods and the elder and the old ones. All that's destroyed, and it's and the destruction of Yggdrasil creates the fruits of labor to be created to be reborn on Midgard, and allowing human beings to kind of just be it.
Okay. Yeah. So
it's way more epic than that. Like Fenris and the giant snake from Dead of War, they devour themselves in a climatic battle that destroys like an entire realm. That's foretold and told beforehand, and it's all because of the death of Baldur.
Okay. Yeah, and Baldur, he was the son of Freya in this, in the God of War.
Freya and Odin.
Yeah, and he died. You know, you killed him in the first kind of God of War, the reboot that you did in God of War here, where they focus more on Norse mythology. Did you play the God of War 2018?
Me?
I played a little bit of the 2018 God of War. I still haven't finished the game, but I've read synopses. I've watched playthroughs of it. I know what happens in the game.
Okay.
Yeah. To be very specific, the only reason it becomes Ragnarok is it's because of Loki. Loki tricking another character to kill Baldur is what starts Ragnarok. It has to be because of Loki. That's even in the Ragnarok myth, and it's very important. I'm just noting that because that was very important that they made sure. Oh, it was because of the thing that Loki had on him that caused him to be vulnerable to even die.
Yeah. So did you play the game yourself, Dusk? There, you played.
Oh yeah, I platinumed it.
Oh, okay. And you loved it a lot.
I liked it a lot. I liked the first God of War. I even liked the second one for a bit. I did not like the third one. So, despite the really good combat, I just didn't like the story and characters. It was just. I'm a big fan of Greek mythology, and kind of what they did to Greek mythology by the third game. I felt genuinely just like kind of upset about what they were doing, and God of War, kind of Dad of War for that one, the fourth game, brought me back, got me interested in this franchise again, and all the little surprises. And I know some people don't like the way the combat has changed, and that the difficulty isn't as choice heavy and platforming isn't there. From what I saw in the trailer, it does seem like they're adding a bit more, even more variety than what was in the first game, and that's very nice. I also like they went to a shop with people. It's actually just people there that maybe we don't have to kill.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of a strength of Dad of War. It finally made Kratos. It gave Kratos depth that none of the other games really
That's the
did.
first game.
Past the first game, yeah. The sequels, they kind of just made him anger guy, kill everything.
Yeah, he's basically Doom Guy, but Doom Guy had more compassion than Kratos did.
Yeah, and so with the action that you kind of see here, just showcasing it. So I like kind of I was very much a big fan of the fourth God of War, especially the action in it, especially the difficulty of it, like how you kind of go up and the differences of it, of like the different type of enemies, like if you especially like the purple enemies and how you have to kind of upgrade your armor and your weapon. So they added very much a heavy RPG element to it. So the way he kind of uses his axe, the way I love the way the axe, you throw it and it comes back to you. I fucking love that. That is awesome.
Oh, it's so satisfying.
Oh yeah, every time. I'd like waste like minutes of the game just like throwing the axe and just calling it back to me. Just oh god, it's so good.
And actually, the creator of that he recently passed away. The guy who created that whole mechanic,
man.
he recently passed away. So rest in power to him. Because I mean that was an amazing thing you did with that.
Kudos to you, brother. Kudos to you.
And so you kind of see some different moves there. You see him kind of throwing some chains, and I'm not talking about the blades of chaos. But he's kind of throwing his chains like Scorpion here, kind of almost like the people, and kind of pulling himself towards people.
Yeah, I mean, it's about time they actually utilize the chains that are permanently, like, semi-permanently burned, I guess, onto his skin. No, he removed that after, I guess.
Yeah.
Even though it was supposed to be permanently done. Yeah, I mean, he's an experienced Spartan warrior. After how many games he's been through, I'm surprised, and weapons he's utilized, I'm surprised he didn't have a bigger weapon repertoire.
Yeah. You also see kind of him using like a shield, where he kind of throws the shield down a little bit, like using it as like a quake kind of move there, which is pretty cool. You see a little bit more different variety enemy types that you see, kind of like this lizard creature, and everything like that. So. The action still looks very, very much on par with everything like that. I just don't get people who say they just didn't like the fourth God of War. I hear some people say like they come up with crazy criticisms. Like I one time I read
a lot of people are wrong. So.
Yeah. Like one person said, like I remember there was a criticism. Like, well, I asked him, so why don't you like God of War? He's like, oh, you can't jump. I'm like, so you just hate the whole game? You can't jump? He's like, yeah, you can't jump. Why can't you jump? I'm like, well, okay. I mean, Jesus. All right. Okay. And then one person I remember said it was boring. Like it's boring. And like I don't know how you get boring from the game, but okay. But yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it. It looks really great. And there are two reasons I guess people are mad about this game. The first reason is the way Thor looks. People apparently don't like the way Thor. Some people don't like Big Thor. I'm gonna put a picture of him up if nobody's seen it. So they released also a bunch of character designs for the people in the movie. Someone's gonna put it up here. So yeah, Thor. I mean, he's packed on that nice weight there, quarantine weight. And a lot of people were saying like, well, this guy just doesn't look like a warrior. He doesn't look like a fighter. Don't know how you.
He's a Viking.
Yeah,
he's a Viking, and even in Norse mythology, he's known for rinks eats.
Yeah, I mean he's a god. I mean that's
He,
kind of what they do.
I mean,
Also, I think a lot of people's opinions of Thor is influenced by Marvel Studios and the fact that they got this giant fucking 220 pounds hunk of man meat and Chris Hemsworth playing Thor for the last 10 years.
Yeah.
so I understand the feelings on the whole Thor aspect
Mm.
of him being slightly rotund, but there's a difference between what they did in the MCU, where it felt very insulting to the character, versus this, where it's very clearly going for a Viking esque. Yeah, he's got a bit of a gut, but that's all beer fat. That's all like if you look at his actual figure, you are not looking at the rest of his strength, upper muscles.
Mm.
That guy is going to kill you.
Yeah.
Like I don't like he's going to tear you apart, especially he's wielding that heavy hammer and he's just doing it effortlessly.
Mm.
Thor, even in like the mythological point of view, he was never the most handsome guy. Thor was known for one and one thing only. When he arrived, mostly ended in a Titan's death or a giant's death, or the basically the party is over, either has begun or ended because of Thor. That is what Thor is mostly known as the god of thunder.
Yeah.
So,
And when you look at
whatever.
I mean, when you look at pictures like, for instance, like the world's strongest man, got a picture of him up right here.
Yeah.
It looks very much
Oh,
like
yeah.
like that. I mean, like a very guy.
Yeah, he looks like how Thor is drawn in the new God of War.
Yeah, so it's very clear to me that Kratos has the what we consider to be he's like super muscular. That's very an athletic more kind of muscular where it's worked on the abs. What Thor kind of has is what you would consider as the world, like what actual weightlifters and bodybuilders and these kind of people that lift incredible weights do. It's all in the shoulders, upper abdomen areas, and you're just not going to see that because it's covered by just that fat over it. But that does not mean they don't have layers of muscle underneath it. It just doesn't mean it's just not toned in that specific area because that's not important. It's not especially important to whatever else they're building.
Yeah.
So everything's on the back and shoulders and legs.
Yeah. And another reason people were kind of upset about here is apparently got a black character in the game. A lot of people complain about that. Since you know a lot about kind of Norse mythology, it seems like here. So do you know about the characters you have here of Angabora? That's how you pronounce it? Or
Is that the name of the character?
yeah. It's Angrboda. Angaborda.
Angerborda.
Would you know that character at all?
Not by heart. Usually, what I know most about Norse mythology is about the sort of weird ass elves, mostly the frost giants, Fenris, the world serpent, some of the bigger aspects of the gods. Odin himself, because he's basically a wizard. Freya.
Okay. It says right here. So it says in Norse mythology, she is the mate of Loki and the mother of monsters. And
That. Oh, you mean Angerborda? Angerboda. Yeah. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and she's the mother of Fenrir. Yeah,
Yes.
as the
The
mother.
wolf.
Yeah, as the mother of three monsters: the wolf Fenrir, the Midgard serpent,
Yeah.
and the Midgard serpent, and the ruler of dead hell. So she's the mother of all three of these monsters here. Huh.
Yeah, she is. She's basically one of the giantesses from Jotunheim, and
Okay.
that's where it kind of got these three. And Jorg and one of the root had. So Hell is So you remember how an MCU that was like I'm Hell, I'm like Thor, I'm Odin's daughter. Now, in Norse mythology, actually, she's Loki's daughter, and the mother of Loki is that person. So she birthed Fenris, who is the devourer of worlds. She birthed its brother, which is the World Serpent, which they both will annihilate themselves in Ragnarok. They hate each other. And then we got Hel, who resides over Helheim, the underworld, who is also a half giantess, half god, basically.
Yeah. Because
So Loki's got an interesting she's got an interesting history. Um, I don't know. I haven't met her character, and I don't know what they're going to interpret her as. But from Norse mythology, she's mostly designed as a giantess of a woman, and she's seen as both someone who is very, I suppose, kind-esque for being a giantess and incredibly fierce. So she's basically like just kind of like a giantess warrior esque, but also very kind of almost like Freya esque, where I care more about the wilds and woods and stuff. More wilds and woods specifically. How that's going to fit with her characteristic and her relationship with Loki will be interesting. I don't know what they'll do, but I'm gonna probably guarantee there weren't a lot of African Americans in Norse mythology.
right.
If you're going by specifically mythology.
I mean, the Vikings, they did kind of take the best genes from wherever they conquered. Who knows? Maybe they took a trip to Africa.
Yeah, maybe. All I know, man, is I don't know if the original Norse character had red hair. But if I had to bet my bottom dollar, I guarantee Angabora was redheaded, and they decided we don't like redheads, so we're going to cast a black woman.
Maybe let's
Because
see.
they've done it a lot.
I'm gonna look up some images. So I have her from the video game here up there. So it looks like she's around the same age as Atreus. Looks like, and she's just like regular size there. That's what it looks like. While I'm pulling up pictures of her from Norse mythology, how they depict her. So the character at the end, where he stands up and like is basically towering over Kratos. You know who that is?
I can't see the image at that point.
I got the image right there on screen right now. It's right there, just at the very end of the trailer. I got the image on screen.
Oh, Tyr. He's
Tyr. He's the god of war. He's the god of war.
Oh, okay.
For Norse mythology.
Yeah, for Norse mythology. Yeah, that's Tyr. He's for Norse mythology, also known as more specifically, he's the god of peace, by warfare.
Oh, okay.
If need be.
So he's like Peacemaker. He'll kill every woman and child for peace. Okay.
Well, no, he's more like, I'm going to go to different realms, learn about them, and understand what they are, so we don't have to. But if I do have to fight, he's the anti-Kratos, basically. I'm actually going to take my time and understand things before I get involved in war. But when
he's not as reckless as Kratos could be. I think he's more calculated in Norse mythology.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Norse mythology is it's kind of hard to pick on exactly what characters look like, whatever. This is a new interpretation, so F it, man. As long as the character is good, and as long as the character is not, at least sticks to whatever their character-esque is, I've got no problems.
Yeah.
Make them whatever.
Same. As long as you make a good game with good writing and some good action mechanics, I do not give a shit.
Yeah. So you were right. So Angabora.
Plus, there were Dark Elves, right? They were like Dark Elves in the first game, so sure, why not?
So yeah, you were right. So Angabora, she's portrayed as having red hair. I got pictures up right here.
Yeah.
Of looking her up here from Norse mythology. Yeah. So she's portrayed as that.
Yeah, they tend to do that. They did that with Mary Jane and Spider-Man, although they backpedaled on that and said she's not MJ anymore. She's just a different MJ. They've done that with Zendaya for the new Dune movie.
They did it with Jimmy Olsen for Supergirl.
Correct. They love just destroying redheads. Don't they have enough? They already don't have souls. Why you gotta break them down, man? It's hard enough. Haven't they suffered enough?
There's one picture here where it has like a Loki, like where it looks like Tom Hiddleston Loki with like a burger there. It's nice design there. Tom looks like that. Okay. Yeah. So I mean, I can't wait for the game to come out. Can't wait to see it. Can't wait to see what they do. Looks very very good. Yeah, they knocked it out of the park last time. Yeah, for very sure.
Yeah.
All right. So moving on from the PlayStation Showcase here, we're gonna get into What If, episode 5. So this is the zombie episode of What If. Here, the people from Ant-Man fucking up things again for the universe.
Whenever something goes wrong, you could probably blame Hank Pym.
Yeah. So in this one, so a zombie.
Just like how Tony Stark keeps creating new Spider-Man villains. Hank Pym keeps creating new apocalypses.
Did anybody? So did you guys ever read the What If comics before, the zombies comics specifically?
I read a few of the. I've read a few kind of standalone issues of the What If comics. I read, I think, a couple volumes of Marvel Zombies, but I think Marvel Zombies, it's more portrayed as like a joke. It's like a joke comic. It's like, okay, how far can we take this? Especially hiring Robert Kirkman to write Marvel Zombies.
Oh, I didn't know he wrote the Marvel Zombies. Okay, that's very interesting. There, so with this one, so the surviving kind of crew of the zombie apocalypse that happens, because it gets introduced with Mark Ruffalo, being dropped from space. The Hulk. Very much so. It's basically the start of.
That same scene from Infinity War where he's like dropped back into the Sanctum Sanctorum. Except this time, it's empty. The streets are completely empty.
Yeah, to me, there's a much much larger threat there. And everybody's basically turned to a zombie thanks to Hank Pym going in when he tried to save his wife. She had been infected by a quantum virus that turned her into a zombie. She infected him. They came back, and then they proceeded to infect everybody on Earth. So the surviving kind of crew that you have that are fighting against, that are trying to find a cure. You have Spider-Man here, who's voiced by Josh Keaton, who people know he.
Oh, it's actually not Josh Keaton doing the voice. That was some stuff that leaked and it caught traction, and Keaton signed an NDA, so he can't really say, no, guys, it's not me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's voiced instead by his actor Hudson Thames, who I did not catch that it wasn't Tom Holland for a while.
Yeah, he does sound. Yeah, he did kind of get a little bit of kind of Tom Holland as well. There, those vibes as well. I'm curious as why they just didn't have Tom Holland do the voice, since he's signed already with Marvel. He's going to do more stuff with them anyway. I'm curious why they just didn't have him come in and do the voice. But so you have Spider-Man, you have the Wasp, so you got Hope Van Dyne. Is Hope Van Dyne voiced by Evangeline Lilly, or is it voiced? It sounded like it was someone else.
I think she is. Nope, it's her voice, Evangeline Lilly.
Okay, so it's Evangeline Lilly there. You also have
pretty much everybody except Tom Holland and Chris Evans came back to do voices. So it's all the cast from the MCU.
Okay. So you have the Wasp, Hope Van Dyne, you have Spider-Man, you have Okoye, and you also have the character from Ant-Man. You have Kurt, who was the Baba Yaga guy, the Russia guy. You got him here.
Oh, David fucking Dastmalchian, aka the real life Walker.
Yeah, and also Happy Hogan as well. He's here. Sharon Carter's here. The Winter Soldier, Bucky's here. So they're kind of like the surviving crew there that's left. It's interesting the people they picked to be a part of the kind of the survivors there. That was kind of interesting. And then you see what happens to the Avengers. They come out all heroic, like, okay, guys, get ready. And then all of a sudden it's just over like that. They just get overrun in seconds. I thought that was kind of funny. That was pretty good there. So that was kind of interesting. They kind of the people they chose there, and then how they're, it's like kind of that zombie movie thing of them trying to go to a location. I was like, we hear that there's a cure. We can go here. We go find it. And it kind of was kind of the setup for this episode. What did you guys think about it?
Ooh, damn! I just love I'm absolutely loving this series. I wasn't too crazy about the first episode, but since then, every single one past that has been great to spectacular for me. This one especially. This one because you have this sandbox where you can play around and there's no consequences to your story. You can do basically anything you want, and it does get a little zombie tropey, but I think. The animation and the and the performances from the voice cast, it's they keep it light enough while at the same time being so grim that it's become a great standalone zombie short.
Yeah. Dusk, what about you?
So, I thought it was fine. I appreciated the little comedy moments. It's very clear. The original what ifs for the zombies and the whole zombie thing is very gory in the comics. Really, really gory. It's also really dark and really screwed up.
Marvel Zombies, it got really edgelordy, really.
It did really kind of not. So it started off as kind of like a fun what if series, and then it got real. Kind of in the border a lot. It got really early, like you said, to Large Lordy, where it was like, oh, this isn't fun anymore. This was fun at first. Now it's not fun. I'm just watching people suffer. I'm watching what was it like this? It's like that dumb anime, the one where like zombie high school or something like that. And it's like a guy who used to draw hentai manga, and then they gave him an anime series, and so it's like sexual-esque, but people are dying horribly. It's just not. Yeah, it's just like this isn't fun. You missed the point.
What have you thought about?
On the other hand,
what have you thought about what if kind of like overall, like if the episodes in general, like if you had to rank them?
So honestly, so my major problem, regardless of how well those specials are, what ifs to me always seem like they're kind of like fun, but they're always fun little small ideas. Because ultimately, when you remove the whole point of a character and say, "Oh, well, what if Star-Lord was actually T'Challa?" and then this, and like, okay, that's cool. That's a neat like what if. This can't go any further than that little what if though, because we created a character in a universe, and it defeats the point if this didn't happen. And because that didn't happen, none of this happens, and maybe makes for a less inferior story.
Yeah, but that's kind of the point of what if.
Oh no, I know. Oh, I know.
And how does that affect the rest of this?
Sure. No. I completely get that. But even just from, I'm just explaining from that point of view. I've always kind of like So I've always approached it with an kind of thing. If that's your thing, that's cool. I thought overall they did a solid job. I think probably my favorite was probably Peggy Carter, just because I like Peggy Carter as a character, and it's like, well, at least you got to make our old boy Captain America proud. Kept on doing stuff. The second one I wasn't too big of a fan on, but the third one was not bad. And then the zombies one, I like Peter Parker. I like the dynamic that he had with Wasp. They kind of had like a brother-sister vibe going on, and it was really nice. It was nice seeing other characters interact that usually we haven't seen them really interact.
Yeah.
So if not just for that alone, it's interesting. It's an interesting watch for the most part for the what ifs. They're just neat little vignettes that you can be like, oh well, it's interesting to see what these characters would have done in this scenario. Would I watch them again? Not necessarily. They're like a nice little. Oh, okay. Maybe once in a while I'll watch them.
Yeah, I think with a lot of these what ifs, there's like a very interesting route that Marvel could take. I mean, there are some stories that that they very well could follow up with. Like, I would love to see. They do kind of hint how a sequel to this zombie storyline will go towards the end, but they also hint that some of these stories are going to interact later. Like in one of the teasers, you see the evil Doctor Strange interacting with Peggy Carter.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, to see kind of where this series is going to go, because we have four more episodes left, because it's 8 or 9.
Yeah, 4 more episodes from this season, and it looks like it's already confirmed second.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, it looks like they're going to do a second season of this, given how much interest there is for this show. With this episode, I think it did have good, kind of gore in it. As much as they can kind of get.
Yeah, it got as gory as you could, while as gory
Pretty
as
much.
Disney will allow it to go. As
Yeah,
gore. Hey, as long as the blood isn't red, then you can get as gory.
yeah, pretty
Yeah,
much.
'cause some reason, because some reason the MPAA is totally cool with that.
Yeah, it's like there's
It's
zombies.
it's green blood or nightmare blood. It's all good as long as it's not red.
Yeah.
That's how Samurai Jack got past all the censors.
So I mean, yeah. So I think it kind of was as gory as you can expect it to be. To be on Disney Plus, cartoons. So be Marvel. It's probably as good as you're gonna get that way. And I mean, they do some good deaths. I mean, they split. I mean, the Falcon in half. You know what I mean? Koi does that. And that was kind of a funny moment, where she talked, to Bucky about it, and him and Bucky kind of got like a rivalry kind of going on. Who can win Cap's heart the fastest?
It was like that fucking joke. It was like, yes, very sad. Anyway,
Yeah. And Elijah's in the chat. He says, "My 2 cents. I feel this way. This was my most anticipated episode. With Super let me down. The Marvel humor and the grim setting absolutely does not mix. Peter Parker and other characters barely express loss or emotion." So that's a very interesting point that Elijah brought
That
up.
actually is a very good point.
yeah, that's a good point, but I think a lot of that is owed to short runtime. I feel like this episode, it could be 20 minutes.
Yeah.
And I kind of feel that way with a lot of the What If episodes.
I feel like with a lot of the What If episodes, I think the one episode that really utilized the 30-minute space the best is the second episode. I think that one, like, you really just, because it was like an episode kind of like, a little bit like a Firefly or something like that, where it's just like, okay, short, like a little space adventure. It was simple concept, the heist, boom, you get done. And then the other ones is like, I think you need to tack on a little bit, 10 more minutes, 20 more minutes, of this. I think this probably needed a little bit more time to kind of flesh out a lot more stuff. And, a lot of the stuff, a lot of the moments in here are supposed to be like a lot of very serious moments, especially, between like Bucky and Cap. How close that relationship is, and I don't think you really felt the impact of that, of Bucky having to get rid of Cap. I don't think you felt that as much impact. He leaves kind of with a little kind of line of where he goes kind of like it's in the end of the line, which is supposed to be like a real emotional moment between the two of them, that connection that they have. And I just don't think you feel that in this.
Yeah, and I think the episode's too short, so you can't really feel the weight of a lot of characters. Because in true zombie film fashion, a lot of characters die in this.
Yeah, like you see a lot of kind of surviving kind of members that people you get introduced to, they kind of get picked off one by one like a zombie film. When they finally go, because we're going to do spoilers for this episode as well. We're going to get into kind of spoilers as well. So when they finally, go and think like, okay, we're going to be safe. We're going to find this cure there. When they're going to be doing that, Vision is there, and Vision is there, and he kind of is basically luring them into a huge trap. And and then you also see Scott Lang there, who's basically got his Futurama head going on, just in a glass jar.
Elijah, he brought up the with the grim setting. With Scott Lang's Ant-Man, that didn't bother me one bit. I just love the character of Scott Lang, and especially all the dad jokes. I laughed. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
So and that's a thing that they bring up in the episode, like that conversation with between Hope and Peter. It's like, how do you stay so upbeat? Hey, you gotta keep smiling for them.
Yeah. I mean, I thought, and like Dust mentioned, the interaction that characters have that you don't really see interact, like the Wasp and like Spider-Man. So you haven't really seen. I don't think they have a scene where they've ever interacted before. So to see them kind of interact here, that was kind of cool, and to see like it's kind of like kind of big sister little brother type of relationship a little bit there. of Hope really trying to lead things, and Hope, I think, can be a better or bigger character than she is right now. Hopefully, as things continue
Oh,
with the
oh,
MCU.
yeah. Make no mistake. She is the baddest motherfucker in the Ant-Man movies, and both the first one and Ant-Man and the Wasp, they make no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yeah, I'd love to see her play, a bigger role, like in the Avengers films and more in there.
Yeah,
I'd love to see her there.
yeah. Not just for Jonathan Majors. I'm hyped to see her Quantumania.
Yeah. And so when they kind of get there, meet Vision, they learn of what he's been doing. So that's always kind of like a horror movie, zombie movie thing. You find out there's some psycho who's been keeping, maybe one of the zombies there, and like maybe it was a relative, a loved one that they've been feeding him. That's always kind of like a common zombie movie thing. She's been, she's been feeding, he's been feeding Scarlet Witch some dark meat. He's been cutting off T'Challa. He's been getting the chicken leg, getting the guy's thigh meat. Been going on. Been feeding her that. And so you kind of have that. T'Challa again is voiced by Chadwick Boseman in this. He's going to be in some more episodes up and down the line. What did you guys think of the ending and where it kind of led to there?
I didn't have an issue with the ending. I think it did a good job of showing how intimidating the Vision could be, and a lot of what led him to the light was the influence of Banner and Tony in his initial introduction, and a lot of what helped him was his love for Wanda. And I think when it's corrupted, like when she becomes a zombie, and that happens, like sometimes that character in zombie movies can't bring themselves to do the right thing and put him down.
Dust?
Yeah, pretty much what Nick said.
Yeah. And just very much in zombie movie fashion, you think like just when they have that hope gets snatched away again, where you see a zombie Thanos waiting for them in Wakanda. It makes me think though.
Them with 5 or 6 Infinity Stones.
Yeah. But I had a question kind of about that. Like the whole reason Thanos went to Wakanda in the first place was because Vision was there. So like, why would he be there and Vision wasn't there? Because he's looking for the Mind Stone. So I was kind of wondering about that. If I guess he was tracking them already.
Well, in this, I think it's implied that a lot of the zombies, they still retain like memories and stuff. It's why a lot of them can still. It's why a lot of the super zombies can still use their power. Like Zombie Strange and Wong, they're still using magic.
Okay. So is it a situation where Thanos was tracking them all the way to Wakanda, and he knew that they were going to come with the Mind Stone, and like he'd been tracking the Mind Stone?
I think so. Could be a plot hole, but at the same time, that last shot is so cool that I wouldn't take it away.
Okay. Yeah, I mean,
that's a common thing in zombie films, especially the most recent example I can think of is Zack Snyder's Dawn of the Dead, where they get on the boat and they get to the island, but a home movie reveals that, hey, it's already overrun.
Yeah. I was thinking the exact same thing. Yeah, watching that scene, they're very much like that scene. Yeah, and Dawn of the Dead, which we reviewed with Army of the Dead a very while back for Zack Snyder, looking at his catalog there. This episode overall, I think it's pretty good. I mean, as far as ranking the episodes so far, I still have the T'Challa episode as number 1 for me. I think this is probably number 3. The Doctor Strange episode is number 2. And what other episode am I missing there? It was the one, the Assassin Murder Mystery episode. That was for me the 4th, and then I'd say the Peggy Carter episode for me was the last one. Any final thoughts on it? This episode?
Yeah, I think this is probably my 3rd favorite episode of the ones that have come out. I'd put it 4, 3, 5, 2, 1. But even all of them, besides the Peggy Carter episode, I give them 8 and above.
Okay. What about for you, Dusk? You think this is a pretty strong episode for you?
It is one of the more, at least, trying to be ballsy episodes, and I'll give it that. Uh, I'm almost kind of like, if you can't go all the way with it, why bother? But I understand that, hey, this is just what they wanted to try and do, and why not? So I
Mm.
don't know. The whole what ifs have been kind of okay. I haven't had a great or bad reaction to any of them, so I'm like, okay, they're all pretty good. I'll give them all. They're mostly just 6 out of 10s to me.
Mm.
Even
Okay.
stuff that I like.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been really too blown away by what if episodes, but I think they're just fun. I mean, I think it's what they are kind of a
Right.
joy to watch, and I think that's what kind of what these are supposed to be. They're not supposed to be maybe something that you would see on the level of like their live action shows like WandaVision or Captain America and the Winter Soldier. A thing of Loki. It's supposed to be a nice kind of enjoyable kind of stuff that you're supposed to consume and go like, oh, this is a fun kind of thing. Yeah. All right. So, moving on from discussing what if, we are going to get into Malignant. Malignant is James Wan return to horror, written and directed by him. Here in this film, you have Madison, who is paralyzed by shocking visions of grisly murders, and her torment worsens as she discovers that these walking demons are in fact terrifying realities. So, here you kind of starts off with a woman in Madison who is pregnant. She's in an abusive relationship with her husband named Derek. They get into a physical altercation. Then there's a scene that happens where she kind of goes to sleep, and then all of a sudden you see kind of this creature in the night come and murder her husband, and this kind of sets off kind of this mystery of whether she did it, and these continuous murders that kind of happen, all of that's surrounding her. And it's kind of nice to see kind of James Wan more return to his roots. He started off with Saw, which was horror, which we talked about. We did a whole kind of Saw retrospective when we discussed Spiral, starring Chris Rock. He's since kind of horror movies that's kind of launched his career, and he's also started big horror franchises like The Conjuring and Insidious. He's also kind of gone on to do superhero films. He did the Aquaman film. He's also been a part of the Fast and Furious franchise as well. He directed Furious 7. So, he's kind of returning back to his roots with this film in Malignant. So what were you guys' general kind of feelings about the movie yourself there with Malignant?
Okay, so me, I think everything I love about Wan horror movies is here in spades. The cinematography is gorgeous. The a lot of the scares there beautifully crafted, and I really love the performance from our lead Annabelle Wallace. I think she's fantastic in this movie. But I think the best way to watch this movie is to go in cold, because I only barely remember the initial trailer that came out, and I did not watch a single thing else besides that. And this movie takes a turn that I did not see coming, and I fucking adored. However, I think the film is a little too slow paced until that happened.
Yeah. Dusk, what about you, man? Dusk?
I am
Oh.
mostly in agreement with Mr. Nick. I think James Wan has always had an eye for cinematography. He knows what to shoot. He's good at showing gory moments and using CGI to his kind of advantage. I think he's good also as just a practical director. He knows when to kind of pull back and be low key on some things. My biggest takeaway from this movie is, while you're absolutely right, there's a lot of twists in this movie, and you want to go absolutely cold. You don't want to even watch anything. You just want to go in completely cold because this is a wild ride. At the end of the day, the wild ride is kind of a mess, and it's just it's just not scary.
Not every movie has to be scary.
I
Like,
know.
barely horror movies barely are scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. So with this movie right here, I would say James Wan, he's very good at making, nice, effective kind of horror stuff. He's very professional. The way it looks, the way it's shot, that looks very well. That looks very good. The lead here in Annabelle Wallace, who plays Madison. I don't know. She wasn't really doing it for me that much in the movie myself. I didn't really think she was that captivating as the lead here. I didn't think she was all that strong. I think the film, it has very elements from his other horror stuff. Like the detectives in this feel very reminiscent of like the detectives you would see in a Saw movie. Like the way they act, the way they talk. It's just like the kind of corny dialogue between the both of the detectives is very familiar to that. The way they go around there. I thought it was like, this is very, very kind of familiar. Something you would see in like the first couple of Saw movies or the Saw franchise. The twist that Nick mentioned that comes, a lot of kind of the way it goes. Yeah, I didn't kind of see that coming, but when it happened, I was like, okay, I don't know, that's just kind of stupid to me. When the reveal kind of gets made, I don't know, maybe people are gonna think it's cool, maybe people not gonna think it's cool, but I just thought it was kind of stupid. I think that the kind of violence in it is really good, especially towards the ending. I think that there's actually a really, really great scene at the end of this movie where like something happens where the character just unleashes, and it's like a jail scene, and I was like, that was really good, and that's some really good choreography there. Um, but so but I still think like it's like you said, what Dust mentioned, sloppy of a movie, kind of all the way through for me. Didn't really hold my interest. It being scary or not scary, I mean, I don't really judge horror movies too much if it's scary or not. I mean, I don't really get too scared in horror movies or anything like that. But even though a movie I'm about to talk about when we do best of did do a really good job at kind of creeping me out very well. I think the supporting cast, not very strong actors. I don't think there's any real recognizable name in here that I recognize. I think the woman who played her sister in this. I'm trying to find her name. She was kind of the worst to me. I thought she was kind of really, really bad.
Oh
Like her.
yeah, Maddie Hassan. She plays the sister character, and yeah, she's kind of weak. A majority of the cast is pretty weak.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. But that was never. But besides The Conjuring and Insidious, the acting was never a strong suit in James Wan's horror movies.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. But
I mean,
yeah.
even if we go all the way back to the Saw movies,
Yeah. So yeah, a lot of the acting in this is kind of weak from the supporting people, as well. But so for me, I'm kind of glad I saw it. Kind of on HBO Max, and I think some stuff, like I said, some of the action scenes are really good here. That are very well shot, are very well choreographed, very interesting to watch. I think that the way the movie looks is very good. I like the transition scenes where she kind of like there's some times where she kind of goes into this trance state that you see a little bit, or she kind of you think it's like, what is this, and the whole kind of world around her kind of goes in kind of in the darkness and it fades away. I think that looks kind of cool. I think that looks pretty nice. But for me, overall, it just didn't really captivate me all that much. I mean, I'd give it maybe a light 6 out of 10, 5 maybe out of 10 for me. What about you guys? What do you think?
For me, I think the movie is a little too slow paced. I think I think with this film, I think James Wan chose to go more style than substance, which I think in Insidious and The Conjuring, he managed to find that perfect balance, along with just the incredible cast of actors that are in both of those movies. I don't think he gets that same level here. I think the film's a little too slow paced. The dialogue's a little corny, but when that third act reveal happens and the movie goes insane, I was 100% on board with it. But it takes a little too long for it to get there. So I'd say for me, this is a soft 6.5 out of.
Dust, what about you?
when I said the movie wasn't necessarily scary, that wasn't a point against it. That was just
okay.
kind of like a cherry on top of the other things. You can take the cherry off of ice cream. That doesn't matter.
Okay.
I think horror ultimately does need to have some form of terror, or at least some form of fear in it. But in the absence of that fear, you can still have other really interesting elements that make up for it. As long as there's stuff inserted to fit and something is removed, it can work. I agree mostly with you, Nick. Up to that, and you as well. I agree mostly on both your sides. I'm kind of in this weird middle where I mostly fall in the middle between you two, where it's like, yes, he has a lot of good technical stuff, and I did like him kind of going back to his kind of roots. But I also agree with you, Nick. It's very style over substance, where he didn't quite find the balance I was hoping for, and the performances weren't that exceptional. But that can be sometimes forgiven for certain horror movies because his movies aren't necessarily known for the greatest of acting. It's always been like the craft in which he put on something. Now, I'm not saying all of them have been bad, and I do think the main character did a very solid job, honestly, for the most part. She acted just very deranged and like just as confused as the audience, honestly, and that is also very helpful. I think the setting is very interesting, but it does get boring at paces. But then that ending, that twist, and that ending, and I'm like, you came back. You came back from like a 5, or even a 4.
Yeah, the movie almost lost me completely till that third act. I think I was like at a 3 or 5 before that third act happened.
And then it's like, it's almost like with because you pulled that, and it's so ridiculous and so like doesn't make any sense, and yet you go with it with complete earnesty. I'm kind of in the middle where it's like it doesn't redeem it, but it. I can't. I'm kind of with you guys. It's like you kind of want the people just to see it, just to see what the heck I just saw. So
yeah,
yeah, I gotta give it like just a slightly above average, a 6. I gotta give it like just a plain old, almost dipping into 5, but it just made it. It just made it to slightly above average, if only for that.
It's like a 3 or 4. The first 2 acts are like a 3 or a 4.
Yeah.
But that third act is at like a 9 for me, purely for entertainment value.
It was like that extra. It's like a 4, almost a 3 to me, and it got like 2.5 points. So it's like it rides that 5.5. But I'm gonna be generous and give it a 6 because I'm in a good mood. But like in a couple of days, I might fall back to a 5. But it could have been a 3. Because of that, it made it to just slightly above mediocre.
Yeah, for me, it's exactly. It's released exactly in a format that I think it's gonna be more kindly regarded. Like if I paid money to see this, then I'd probably be a lot more disappointed with it. But I watched the shit at home in bed, cuddled up with my girl and my dog.
Yeah.
So I'm Gucci. It's exactly where it should be.
Yeah. You know what? I am gonna stick. I'm gonna go with a 5. It's just gonna be a 5. I'm gonna stick with that. That's the one I feel the most comfortable. It's just okay. Saved from like the abyss of I'm not gonna remember anything of these forgettable horror movies that I've seen.
It's like you have a crappy 2/3, and then just one manages to stick the landing.
Like you're closing that door, you're like, all right, I'm just gonna forget about that. Wait, what? And you just like before the door closes, something else, and you're like, oh, we're gonna do that. Okay.
Oh,
shit. Okay, how are we gonna do this? All right. I'm gonna remember it.
I also say like what drags this movie down is also like the music choices and like it's very horror movie music.
Right?
Like,
right, it is horror movie music. And tell me if you guys thought this too, but didn't some of the scores sound like it's just "Where Is My Mind" by the Pixies?
I'd have to go back and listen to it. I'd have to go back check it out.
Yeah, you've got.
Every time I like heard those 4 notes, I was just so distracted. Wait, is that the fucking Pixies?
I mean, it would not surprise me that he's a fan of the Pixies. They are a solid band.
Yeah,
they were a great band and having a good year. They were
that's true. They did
featured prominently Fear Street, The Suicide.
Yeah, it's true. You know what? I didn't even think about that. Yeah, you're right. They did have a really good quick
It,
comeback.
it's kind of like 2017, where every single movie.
But you cut out there, Nick, for a second. Cut out there. Would
Oh,
you?
it's kind of like 27, kind of back in 2017, where like 4 big release movies in a row all prominently featured John Denver.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Oh yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, but I mean, people you'll know because like there's scenes that happen that are the big horror scenes, and they go like horror movie music plays really loud, and it's like these chords that play really loud in it. It's like just to let you know this is a horror scene, and
Yeah.
we're gonna play this
Yeah,
shit loud, crank it up. It's
that
like
reminded me of the second It movie. But they
Okay.
kept doing that too, where it's like it was a spooky scene, and even the first two movies, that was one of the big gripes I had about it. Spooky scene. We're gonna just have loud music or loud things going on because it's scary, and it's like no, just let it be silent or let it be droning. Like let me be terrified. The scary things are happening, except for the second one where he's just like a Paul Bunyan fucking statue, and he's just floating down.
Okay, that shit was fucking ridiculous.
That was hilarious though. I laughed.
yeah.
I'm like, all right,
Yeah.
yeah, man. That's
Okay,
Malignant.
yeah, but Malignant, if you got HBO Max, check it out, but it's not really worth going to a theater to see.
Yeah.
If you're gonna see a movie poster with a nail going into somebody's eye, you're honestly better off playing Evil Within. If you don't know what that is, look that up.
Yeah. All right. So we're gonna do real quick, just our best of the year so far. Year's almost coming to a close. And then me and Nick and Dusk, if he wants to chime in with some of the movies that he's seen, we're just gonna go
Sure.
discuss our kind of best movies of the year so far. Kind of let Dusk gonna let us know what he kind of thinks of our picks, or if he's got some of his own. So how you want to do it, Nick? You want to do back and forth, like bottom to top, and then do it that way, or do you just want?
That works for me. So, yeah, bottom to top the year so far.
Okay. And then you just want to
Just
go,
back and forth.
yeah, back and forth. Okay. All right. So I'll go first here. So for me, I have the Green Knight. The Green Knight is the film starring Dev Patel. It was a film I saw. It's the A24 film. It's kind of the very much kind of anticipated film. A lot of people say this is the film bros. This is their Black Panther. You know what I mean? This is a chance for them. Emotionally high anticipated film.
Yep, the fucking army of scarves and berets in the middle of summer just flocking to movie theaters.
Yeah. This is their this is their Black Panther. This is a story based off of the Arthurian legend.
Pretty sure Martin Scorsese masturbates to this trailer because it's so cinema.
Yeah, I mean this is
Hey, man.
perfect cinema art. This is what
As you
should-
like, my friend. As you like.
We're not here to kink shame.
No.
Gorgeous looking movie, great performances in it, great score in it, and yeah, I mean, the movie can be kind of slow paced at times. Movie's definitely not for everybody. Definitely, it's a movie I'd like to see again. I'd like to read the poem again, or just read the poem. Period. In order to get kind of all the references, the themes, the metaphors that are kind of throughout the movie, because there's a kind of a lot of symbolism I think in here and used in here that is very well done, and yeah, I mean really kind of fantastic movie. A chance for you just to really go see it, just to I think just see something different in the movie theater, see something that's not your regular kind of blockbuster film, or even just kind of indie drama. Just kind of a chance to see something that'll kind of just shake up things for you. Nick, what about you?
This is one of the movies that's kind of like on my list that I haven't seen yet. But moving on to my list, my number 5 of the year. So it's a movie we talked about last week, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I think it's probably has some of the best action sequences in the MCU. Amazing performance, introduction to a character by Simu Liu, and a really sympathetic performance from Tony Leung, one of the greatest actors to ever come out of Hong Kong. And I can't say enough about how much this movie means to me as an Asian American to see a $200 million blockbuster movie starring a cast featuring mostly people that look like me, and the fact that it's doing so well in the box office now is just cherry on top for me.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked about the movie last week, and we gave our kind of opinions on it. You can check it out in that very kind of long pod that we put up there. We also had the clip of just a short review. We talked about Shang-Chi for about an hour. We were kind of talking about that movie back and forth about it with guests Chill and Elijah. And yeah, I mean, really great martial arts movie, I thought. Then for me, I just didn't like the ending. Didn't like what it really turned into. Thought that kind of ruined, which was kind of you had a really great martial arts movie, and I think it kind of the ending kind of let it down there, but still a solid movie. I liked. So where would you kind of rank Shang-Chi just in terms of origin movies with the MCU and then MCU films overall?
Origin movies, I'd say it's probably one of the stronger ones. Overall in the MCU, for me, it's in my top 5.
In your top 5. Okay. All right. All right. So moving on from 8th to my 7th pick here, I'm gonna go with Candyman. And Candyman for me, a lot of people say like, well, I don't know, that movie wasn't that good. Well, it was good to me, bitch, and I'm putting it on my list as one of some of the best movie of the year for me so
Bro, why
far.
you got so many?
And
Damn, I thought we were doing like 5. I didn't know we had like 8 or fucking whatever.
Well, I was trying to do like half of 10. I was trying to maybe go to 5, but then I was like, okay, well, then you had like the honorable mentions on yours, and then I was like, okay, well, I might as well just do like 8 or something like that. So for
Yeah, but
me,
my honorable mentions aren't in my top 10 though.
true, but yeah, so I guess this is just kind of like a little bit of my top 10 for now. I guess top 8 right now.
Fucking cheating.
Yeah.
Fucking cheating.
So for me, here this Nia DaCosta directed film, Candyman, kind of a spiritual sequel to the 1992 Candyman. I know a lot of people had issues with this, and I hear a lot of the criticisms people had with the film, and I agree with some of the criticisms that people had, just in terms of some of the plot holes and some of the kind of logic in it and where things went. And so I kind of share, I completely understand why a lot of people kind of had issues with it. For me, I think what was really great about it for me is I think a lot of the kind of allegories in it, the metaphors in it. Jenna and Reese, they came on here. They talked about it very well. Of I think the element of there being about gentrification, things like that. I mean, I think yes, that's very much there. That's very prominent. But I also think the element there that is also really good is it about talking to black people, and black people's kind of role in kind of the commodification of their own culture and how that can be used and sold as well, and how that's kind of been made for profit now. And so I think that also kind of had a kind of that message was hugely prominent there. And well, I thought that was very very good, and you don't really see much of kind of in movies there. So I thought that was kind of very effective. And then some complaints I hear about it of like, well, Tony Todd wasn't in it, or you can't have Candyman without Tony Todd in it. And I get Tony Todd was a big impact on it. I think maybe it would have been better just to keep Tony Todd there, and instead of like having this other character who was this other Candyman like figure. But the way they set that up was supposed to, kind of symbolize how there's all these different Candyman of, I think, generational trauma, and how like that, there's always kind of a different Candyman for the generations in there, and things like that.
Yeah,
So,
even in the because unfortunately, because of the release schedule, I haven't been able to see the movie yet. But even in clips that you've seen of Candyman, the biggest thing I took away is that, like that clip of Coleman Domingo talking about, it's like Candyman to me. It's about what this entity, this urban legend is to different people, and kind of illustrating that. Because I know they do like the shadow puppets dialogue, and I know there's one about Helen from the original movie.
yeah, and the shadow puppets, I thought that was a very cool use of story technique they do in the movie, with the whole kind of shadow puppets and the way they kind of tell those stories. I thought that was kind of really cool. They brought kind of this artist on to the film to do these kind of shadow puppet things to tell the story, which I thought was very cool. But Nick, what about you? What is your next pick?
Okay, so my next pick is one of my honorable mentions, and I'm kind of cheating here, but I dug the absolute fuck out of the Fear Street trilogy. To me, I almost rank them as like one complete story because you can't really tell one without the other. I think the first two all three movies, they pay such loving tribute to each of their own little subgenres of horror that I really enjoyed it. It reminded me of everything that went wrong after Scream came out in the early '90s. Everything that went wrong with horror, and I appreciated how mean-spirited the movies got, how they weren't shying away from killing kids, and especially in part three, I really loved how emotional and how the film nearly brought me to tears at some point.
The Fear Street trilogy. We have the review up of it on our YouTube channel right there. Also, wherever you listen to podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, all that good stuff. This is based on the best-selling novel from R.L. Stine. And this definitely doesn't give a fuck about the kids. That's for sure. It has no problem murdering a lot of kids.
Part two is fuck them kids the movie.
Yeah, so definitely the violence is cranked up in this to kids a lot. Dusky, did you get a chance to check out the Fear Street trilogy?
I did.
How did you like it?
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's been a while since we've had a fun horror slasher movie. I think at least one that's gotten this much attention. I think
not since like Happy Death Day.
Yeah.
Since like Happy Death Day and then the sequel, which the sequel went full camp.
Yeah, it went full camp, but in a way I appreciate it. These three movies, I think they balance the camp and the kind of edgy tone a little bit better.
If you don't laugh at her trying to end one of the days by her just running head first into a wood chipper, you're like, all right, you're just not in the mood for this one. You come back later. That sets the tone real well at that point. She's like, God damn it, all over this again.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of reminded me of that. But yeah, they're like, screw these kids. But I had a lot of fun. I had fun with that. And it's not bad. Not bad at all. I had some good fun on that. And it's been a while. You're right, Nick. It's been a while since we had just a fun slasher movie since those Happy Death Day.
Yeah,
which was a nice surprise at the time.
Yeah, especially one that's kind of gotten the premier treatment from a company like Netflix, because they released all three movies like 1 week apart, back to back to back.
Which was smart. It gave you enough time to like, all right, I can pick this out. Cool. And then, the next one's coming out next week. Ooh, I can't wait. And then the third one.
Yeah. I enjoyed them. A lot of it is very reminiscent of, things like Friday the 13th, things like Scream, throwback to, those type of horror movies, and kind of this element. And I think it was a fun watch. And like I said, spacing them out was pretty nice. Like, people anticipated those movies, which was pretty good. Definitely the violence in it is, really something to see. It reminds of kind of those fun kind of slasher flicks. Thank you.
They don't hold my back.
Jevin Good for the 30 bits there. Thank you, man. Appreciate you coming in with the 30 bits there. Thanks, man. Thanks a lot. Okay, so moving on from Nick's pick there, I'm going to move on to my sixth pick. For me, it is Nobody, the Bob Odenkirk film. It's his action film here, kind of his John Wick in a sense. Very impressed much by Bob Odenkirk. I mean, the man is in his...
I forgot it came out this year.
Yeah, he's in his 60s now, I believe.
Because he went to the hospital for a bit. That's why.
Yeah, he had a heart attack on.
Yeah, we talked about that.
Thankfully, he's okay. He's back to work.
That's good.
Yeah, he's close to being in his 60s. He's 58 years old. And this one, he was one of those cases where the actor, really, got in shape. Really did a lot of the stunt work himself, and really worked on it and everything like that. And it's smaller type movie, simple story, everything like that. But it's effective. It's effective in its action, and it's effective in its storytelling. It's not trying to do too much. It's just trying to be something kind of there and something kind of simple for you to and enjoy, which I appreciate. And the execution of it is excellent, and everything it does. I was very much impressed by it.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm amazed with Nobody about how brutal and how brutal it gets with its action, but still maintaining that kind of absurdist tone. Well, in some respects being a little more realistic than something like John Wick. Because the biggest thing about this movie is the first punch that's thrown Bob Odenkirk gets his ass kicked a lot in this movie.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest thing about, like, one of the criticisms I had of John Wick. It was the fact that he's been retired for X amount of years, and then it's like he hasn't missed a step.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's that one is more like he's like a myth, and he's done so many things where he's just so just it's so natural to him that it was such a restraint to pull back, and he didn't want anything to do with it. And but yeah, no, I completely understand your point, and it does feel way more weird way is nobody realistic. Where it's like he gets punched, he gets beat the crap out of him, and it shows every scar, every bruise, every beat up, but it gives just as much back.
Oh yeah, this is closer in tone to, I think, the first Die Hard, something like John Wick.
Yeah, very much so. Nick, what about you? What is your next pick?
Okay, my next pick is one of my honorable mentions, and I'm probably gonna get shit from a lot of my friends for this, but it's Justice.
Oh, Justice League.
Yeah, I liked the Snyder Cut. Deal with it. I think the movie, we talked about it in the review. It's rare that you get a movie that is 100% the voice of that director, especially with the shit show that was the original the original theatrical release. That movie is nigh unwatchable. This, for it being 4 hours long, I barely noticed the pace, really. There is a lot of fat to trim there, but none of it really bothered me. I was more amazed that this movie got released in the way that it did. I think the characterization, it's so much more improved. Characters like Steppenwolf, Cyborg, Barry Allen, they actually get to, have fully realized arcs in this film. And watching this, it kind of opens up the question of what if? What if a releasable version of this came out back in 2017 when it was meant to?
Yeah. Actually, confession, I have yet to see Zack Snyder's Justice League. I have not seen that movie yet, so I can't really give my comment on it. Dust, what about you, man? Have you seen it?
I have seen it. Good news for you. There are chapters, so you can take breaks.
Like if you look on the scroll on HS, it's like they have chapter markings on it, so you can take breaks, which is kind of how I watched it the first time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Honestly, back then they could have just released a part two. Like they could have split it in half and released it as was. Regardless of how you feel about the movie, personally, I'm not going to get into that or at all. Not that I dislike the movie or whatever. That doesn't matter. I will commend on it just being that's Zack Snyder's vision, and he tried to do it with what he had, despite the screwed up situation, what the studio did to him, and I do commend him on that. I do respect that the artist got to finish his vision. So kudos to that. I wouldn't have put it as top, but hey, man, that's your pick.
Yeah,
kudos to you.
That's why even I say it's an honorable mention for me.
That's fine. Yeah, no problem, man. Just the effort alone and the precedence that it sets of hey, man, I wanted to put my work, regardless how you feel about it, regardless of how some people might not be a fan of it, I want to do it. Let me have carte blanche.
Yeah, and also for me, it's kind of the Snyder Cut, for even on this show, it was like a punchline for pretty much every single week as more and more news came out about it up until the release date. And one of my favorite things as a critic is eating my words.
Sure.
Wow.
Because I was not expecting the movie to be like even coherent, but fuck, the guy pulled it off.
Yeah, mad props to at least for him to make a coherent-esque story from what he had available.
But moving on, Josh, what is your next pick?
So for me, my fifth pick is going to be The Mitchells versus the Machines, the Sony animated film that is on Netflix. Everybody can watch if you have Netflix right now.
I'm actually going to bring that up.
Very nice film, very funny, very, very well done, very humorous. This film was directed by, who directed this film again? Oh, I just completely forgot. I think it was...
It was directed by, I can't remember the name, but I know he was one fall.
I'm sorry,
and the film is.
you kind of cut out there, Nick.
I don't remember the. Oh, sorry. I don't remember the. Oh, it's directed by Michael Rianda, Jeff Rowe. Rianda, he was a writer and animator on Gravity Falls. Jeff Rowe, he's worked on Gravity Falls, Disenchantment,
Yeah.
and all. And the film is written and co-produced by Phil Lord and Chris Miller. And I think the movie it balances that sense of humor that they are so well known for.
Oh, very much so. Yeah, it's clever, without being too on the nose. The kind of the story of it. This kind of this apocalypse happened with the kind of technology taking over, and it does the whole kind of message about like technology and too many people on their phones and things like that. But it also kind of comes back around to also talking about the positives of it and the good nature of it, and kind of what it can do actually that can be beneficial and not people just watching porn and sharing memes. Like it can actually be kind of this cool thing that people used to be.
It's also nice to see a family act like a family.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Like the brother and sister characters. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'll let you finish, Nick.
Yeah, especially because with so many family films, like the Hollywood default is just to make everybody and just constantly bicker to the point of just being annoying. This movie goes the opposite route.
Yeah, like the brother and sister give each other crap, but it's very much look what siblings would do, and they still do care about each other. That's never not the problem.
Yeah, even the dad who, in any other movie, dad would be portrayed as the asshole trying to take his daughter on this road trip, but they drop that so quickly, and it ends up becoming a real wholesome point between the daughter who's Katie Mitchell, who's voiced by Abby Jacobson, and her dad, who's voiced by Danny McBride.
Yeah, great work from the voice cast. Like Maya Rudolph, Danny McBride, Abby Jackson, Eric Andre, Fred Armisen. I mean, really great kind of all-star cast all the way through, up and down, and they do a really great job with the voices and very humorous, very funny. Highly recommend you check it out. It's kind of one of the better, animated movies I've seen this year. Really, yeah. Very nice one. Nick.
Okay, my next pick, we kind of did my number 5. So my number 6, it's going to be Werewolf. This is the second film of Josh Rubin, who directed one of my favorite movies last year, and Scare Me. This takes a more whodunit murder mystery approach to a werewolf story, and it's about kind of how people in times of crisis end up turning on each other. It reminded me a lot of stuff like Knives Out or Clue or Murder on the Orient Express, but with kind of that sense of humor that Josh Rubin from Scare Me is known for, and even to a certain extent, his stuff on College Humor. I think it's carried by a wonderful, charming lead performance from Sam Richardson, and his chemistry with Milana Weintraub, who y'all know as the AT&T girl, is wonderful. And they have probably one of my favorite on-screen dynamics ever. I'm still pissed at Ike Perlmutter for canceling Marvel canceling her show where she plays Squirrel Girl. So that's my daily fuck you, Ike Perlmutter.
Yeah. It also has Aya Cash in it. From people know she was the Nazi.
No, she's not in this. She's not in Werewolves Within.
Oh, she's not in Werewolves Within. Oh, okay.
Sorry she is now.
Oh, sorry about that. So my bad. I thought she was. So with this movie right here, I didn't get a chance to see it at all because I think you guys reviewed this when I was out, correct? Or maybe
I think you were either out, or I think the week was just so packed that you didn't have time to fit that in.
Oh, I think the week was packed and I had to see some other stuff. Yeah, I think that was probably what it was. I've been meaning to check this out. Yeah, we gave Josh Rubin a lot of praise with Scare Me. Very much so, and I remember he even liked a tweet of ours where we complimented it. So yeah, shout out to us. Yeah, shout out to Josh Rubin for doing that. But he knows what to do with a small budget. Very effective stuff. Really enjoy Scare Me. I really want to check out Werewolves Within. Yeah, I really want to check it out. Yeah, sounds very interesting.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites of the year.
Yeah. Griff, thank you for the follow there, Griff. Griff, I know Griff is part of the community, with the Twitch community that I know with part of like Riles and Choco Thunder. They're all streamers there, and they do a pretty good job. Yeah, I've been following them and joining their Discord, being a part of that community. So it's actually
Nice.
yeah, so it's actually pretty awesome. You know what I mean? They're pretty good, and I'm doing pretty good, Griff. We're just kind of closing in on the end of the stream. We're doing our best of the of kind of the year so far. Kind of wrapping up with that. And also Chaco's here. Hello, Chaco. Yeah, Chaco was the guy I just mentioned there. He's also a very good streamer. Streams very well. Yeah, that whole community, yeah, it's really good. They've been really, really nice to me, ingratiating me into the community, their Discord, everything like that. So it's been nice. I've been following them all, also on all the socials. They're also on TikTok. They're also on Instagram. I've been checking them out as well. So yeah, they're all good people. Good people. Highly recommend following them, giving them some love. And also, so to me, moving on to me.
Oh.
Here,
Real quick, my girlfriend just followed the stream. Thanks, babe. Love you.
Oh,
Keep on shining.
oh, nice. So thanks. A shout out to Nick's girl there. Nick's girl is finally giving him some support, finally showing him some love. There you go. You know what I mean? Like we've been doing this show for.
She at least we did. Yeah, I think almost a couple weeks ago marked 1 year.
Oh, 1 year anniversary! Congratulations.
Yeah, 1 year since I joined the show.
Oh.
And my girlfriend finally gave us a follow.
Oh, I thought you
Nice.
meant 1 year anniversary of you. Oh, 1 year since you've been joining the show, and she finally followed. Right? Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. She finally understand. I guess if he isn't gonna give up this shit, I might as well just follow him. You know what I mean? Maybe he'll give me a shout out. You know, I thought this was a hobby. Yeah. So, yeah. So shout out to your girl. Kofi is also in here as well. I follow him on Instagram.
Koki, what's up, dude?
Yeah, Koki's in it. Hey, shout out to him as well. I follow him on Instagram. Good stuff on Instagram. He's part of the DT community as well, and he's an awesome guy. He puts up a lot of creative stuff on his Instagram there. Yeah, so it's pretty nice.
Yeah, I hang out with. Yeah, Koki's here in Japan. I hang out with the guy.
Oh, you hang out with him? Oh, okay. Well, we should.
Yeah, he came. Yeah, he came over last week, and we watched Karen.
Oh, okay. Well, damn, he should have been on the review, man. I didn't know that. Well, hey, Koki, hey, come on, man. Since you're already in Japan, you and Nick, you can share that nice mic he's got. He's got a Yeti. You know what I mean? That expensive ass microphone. You know what I mean? And so yeah,
even paid for a pop filter on there.
Oh, nice. Yeah. So yeah. Koki, hey, drop by, man. Since you're already in Japan, two people, you know, doing the whole duo thing. That'd be nice, man. I would love to have you on. All right. So for me, moving on there. Does your girl know that we got the little bubbles emote there that she can use?
I don't know, but let me see if she can see it.
Yeah. Yeah, got the nice little bubbles emote. Yeah.
Oh, Koki, just wait. Koki's saying, shocked Karen wasn't on both your lists. We're not there yet.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, yeah, it's got nice little kind of bubbles emote. Got those kind of nice little emotes that you can use there. In the chat, designed by Jenny Liano. Yeah, very nice. Yeah, very nice. And if you look on like. Usually, Nick's Girl Story, it's nothing but bubbles. It's just bubbles 24/7, all bubbles content. Yeah, just showing bubbles. Yeah, very much so. Very, very cute dog. All right, so for me, what number am I on here? So I'm on number 4. So my number 4 movie of the year for me is Quiet Place Part 2. So Quiet Place Part 2 surprised me a lot. It is the sequel to, of course, The First Quiet Place, directed by John Krasinski. Here he comes back again. Him and Emily Blunt. He's directing it. Emily Blunt starring in it this time. Very surprised me very much so. Why? Because mostly with horror movies, you don't really get a good sequel. You know what I mean? Usually it's kind of a disappointment with horror sequels. Yeah. This one, I think, lived up to the expectation, if not exceeded it.
Yeah, usually with horror sequels, you get more the sense that this is just a cash grab. This is just, hey, the first one made a lot of money. Studios kind of forcing a director to, hey, churn out another one of these fuckers. You know how much money we made? Keep it up. But with here, I'm surprised at how I enjoyed it. I think it's aided by a lot of the additional cast they brought in, like Cillian Murphy, who everybody knows and loves from stuff like the Nolan Batman films, stuff like Peaky Blinders, Jimon Hansu, who is in basically everything. But I like the turn the story made, and I think it did fall back on a little too many of the post-apocalyptic tropes like other asshole survivor groups, but I liked it how it was handled here.
Yeah. And I like how it's kind of the daughter's movie more than, even like, the Emily Blunt's movie. Like, the daughter's played by Millicent Simmons. And it's kind of becomes a journey with her and Cillian Murphy. And I think that is like really great to watch because it's really kind of more her movie than anything else. And I think she does an excellent job at really leading the movie. And yeah, I mean, when Nick mentioned, mostly people just want to do a sequels cash grab, and of course, I mean, you want to make. I mean, the first one exceeded expectations as far as how much money it made due to its small budget, and it really, really did exceed expectations. And of course, they were going to do a sequel, but with this one, I felt like they really came in with a plan. They really executed it very well, and I think it's a very, very well done film that I think is as good as the first one, if not better, which is kind of rare, like I said, with a lot of horror sequels. Dust, did you get a chance to check this out?
I did not, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I did enjoy the first movie.
Yeah.
For what it was.
Yeah, it's rare with just sequels in general that they come even close to being as good as the first movie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the opening of it is really good. I think John Krasinski, I'm eager to see what he does later in his directing career, given that he's done a very, very good job with his directing in his first two feature films. So I'm eager to see what he does. I think he's got a bright future.
Yeah, I know that part 3 is already announced, but he's not directing. I don't believe so.
Okay. Okay.
Well, but especially with how the first film opens, I'd be curious to see if he jumps to another genre or if he sticks with doing another horror film.
I'd be interested as well. Yeah. The streak. I mean, comedy guys in horror. Jordan Peele, John Krasinski. It's working out pretty well.
Danny McBride and David Gordon Green with the Halloween movies.
Yeah. Comedy guys horror. Some works well with it. Yeah. All right, man. Nick.
Okay, real quick before I get to my number 4, my last honorable mention is going to be Vacation. Great, and John Cena. It's just a movie that had no expectations, and I'm surprised about how much I laughed and how much I enjoyed the film. It's wonderful. But my real number 4 is going to be Batman Halloween Part 1 and 2. The film, I think it has an impossible task of adapting one of the great Batman stories with The Long Halloween, and the way they handled it, changing slight elements of it, but injecting so much heart and love into that story, especially with the voice talents of Jensen Ackles playing Batman and Josh Duhamel as Harvey Dent, doing probably, for me, one of the best performances of Josh Duhamel's career, and how they handled Harvey Dent's eventual transformation into Two-Face. It's a beautifully done tragedy.
Yes. Did you get a chance to see this, Dusk?
I did. We did a review. I did.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're right. You came in for the review. Yeah.
Oh, right. You were on the review.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we talked about it. I enjoyed part 1 and 2. They've really nailed the animated department of DC has nailed what at least those kind of characteristics, even the small changes from the initial comic. It was just nice to see it in animated form and represented fairly, at least well enough, where you're like, okay, yeah, this is the story, and all right, these are the characters, and I did appreciate they split up in 2 parts so you could tell the whole thing.
Yeah, because The Long Halloween, it's just a story that's so long form, so intricate, and so detailed that you need 2 separate movies in order to let it breathe. And to the point where the ending of part 2, where it's like that iconic moment of Dent turning himself in, it's heartbreaking almost.
Yeah. Yeah, I like this movie quite a bit. The animation style I liked a lot. Jason Eccles as Batman, I was a little shaky on, but I've come around a little bit more to him as
Mhm.
Batman. I think, especially for a younger Batman, I think he does pretty well. Great, good performance by Catwoman by the late Naya Rivera. I think she does a very good job as Catwoman.
Mhm.
So yeah, solid voice cast all around. Based off of one of the greatest comics ever written, one of the greatest stories kind of ever written, and Batman: A Long Halloween. Very good adaptation of the work. They definitely don't fumble the bag like they did with the Killing Joke here. But
Yeah.
yeah, I very much so. I think it's
Yep.
very good film.
Yep. A great adaptation of Jeff Loeb's One Hit Wonder.
Yeah. Um,
Damn.
all right, so moving on to my third pick here, I have The Night House. The Night House is a film starring Rebecca Hall. Rebecca Hall in this kind of horror film, which I talked about. Did you get a chance to see this Dusk at all, or no?
Oh, sorry. What was the title?
The Night House.
No, I wasn't able. I wasn't able to do so.
Yeah, this is a very good horror film. I mean, I think this is one of the best horror films I've seen in the past few years. Very well done. Love the scares in this one, and I love how it builds the tension in it. You keep kind of it's one of those things what keeps building the tension and building the tension, and you're waiting for the kind of jump scare that you expect with a lot of these horror movies, but it doesn't go for the cheap jump scare. Like there's maybe one or two jump scares in it, but overall it it just keeps building that tension and building it and allows you to really be scared and really be tense throughout the whole film, and the creepiness of it is very effective. And and it's this great story about grief, about because it's kind of a movie about this woman whose husband committed suicide and how she's kind of processing this grief, and how this movie could be used as like this allegory for kind of depression and like this thing that she's fighting after her husband's death. And it's just very, very well done. I mean, it's an amazing performance by Rebecca Hall that I enjoy a lot. And just to see like the figure that's in this movie that is you don't know kind of exactly what it is. The stuff they kind of do with this like the silhouette outline of the figure is very well done. I mean that really creeps the hell out of you a lot. That is very effective, and just trying to figure out what is going on, the mystery of the film. And I don't think it disappoints at all. I love this film quite a bit, a lot actually. I mean it's
I'm
one of my better movies of the year.
this is another movie that I'm sad isn't available to watch yet. It's not in theaters, and I'm still waiting on come to streaming. But yeah, just off your plays, this is one of my most anticipated.
Yeah. So Nick, what about you, man?
Okay, so moving on, my number three movie is this is the A24 film based on how long was the Twitter thread? It was like 100 tweets
Oh,
about this stripper who goes down on a so-called a hoeing trip to South Florida, and I kind of don't want to give away any more because the turns this movie takes are it's some wild shit that you would believe that most people would probably say you made this shit up, but you got to realize this is Florida.
yeah.
People forget that Florida.
An amazing performance from the lead actress, Taylor Page, I think is her name.
Yep. Taylor
Oh
Page.
yeah, Taylor Page. A wonderful performance from her. Great. Uh, One of the most uncomfortable performances from Riley Keough, but I could never look away. And Coleman Domingo once again proving why he is the shit.
Yeah, great year for Coleman Domingo. Yeah, Zola, Candyman, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. I mean, that we're gonna forget he was in that Michael B. Jordan Tom Clancy movie. He wasn't really in all that much. We're just gonna forget that. But
What are you talking about?
yeah, um,
I think
and
most people already have.
Most people forgot that movie already.
yeah. I mean, yeah, as long as we just blank that movie out of their existence, yeah. But yeah, I love this movie. I thought it was really great. You also got like kind of the supporting characters on this, like Nicholas Braun who plays Derek, who's like the simp of the Riley Keough character here. He's very funny. I mean, he's really good. Cole Domingo is really great. You just have Jason Mitchell in here, who's also really good as well, who plays like a small time gangster in Florida. And yeah, I mean, the movie, I mean, based off this Twitter thread, this kind of fascinating story of what happened to this woman, Taylor Page, who's the actress in it, who's portraying the woman based off Twitter. Yeah, I mean, it's some crazy stuff, and I highly recommend people check it out. If you kind of love kind of that crazy real life type of storytelling, then yeah, I mean, very very kind of surreal a lot of this stuff. So it's like only could happen from an A24 film, and it being in Florida most definitely. But check it out. All right, so moving on to my second pick here. I am gonna go with Judas and the Black Messiah. Judas and the Black Messiah was the film starring Daniel Kaluuya. Daniel Kaluuya, people know from Get Out fame. You also have Lakeith Stanfield in this film as well. It's all about the leader of the Black Panther Party, Fred Hampton, and to his eventual death, led by the FBI. This was, kind of an amazing film all the way through. I think how they betrayed Fred Hampton, and the director kind of the film here. Let me make sure I get his name right. But just
Shaka King.
Shaka King. Amazing performances throughout. You also have Fat Damon, Jesse Plemons in this. Great actor, amazing actor here. And just the stuff they do of showing the Black Panther Party and showing kind of all the different aspects of it, of kind of what they were trying to do as much as you can in a Hollywood film. They like to neuter and sanitize things, and kind of very much kind of wash over a lot of black radicalism and kind of black revolutionaries, in a way, sanitizing in a way like they did with kind of people like Martin Luther King, to try to get as much as you can, the truth as much as you can out there, in kind of a Hollywood film is tough. And Shaka King, he talked about that, him saying like, I've experienced a lot of racism in my life, and I've never experienced probably as much racism as I have in just being in Hollywood. Kind of difficult to kind of get these stories made. So yeah, it's amazing performances, throughout the entire film, that really were very, very impressive. Don't understand nominating both Daniel Kaluuya and Lakeith Stanfield for Best Supporting Actor. That made absolutely zero sense in the Academy, but okay, whatever. But yes, I mean, this film is on HBO Max. Highly recommend people check it out. Highly recommend you reading a lot by people like Fred Hampton, and black revolutionaries like that. Very, very stuff that if you read it, even though it was written 30, 40 plus years ago, that it's still relevant very much today. How did you think about it?
Oh, I absolutely fucking adored this film, but it is for me, it's a movie I enjoyed, but it's also one I don't know if I'm ever gonna watch it again, just because of how uncompromising, how brutal and tragic the story is. It's one that I admire it. Kudos to Daniel Kaluuya for taking home the Oscar. He should have been nominated for either him or Lakeith should have been nominated for a lead actor, but hey, man got his Oscar. Good, 2-time nominee and 1-time winner.
Yeah, very good for him. Dusk, did you get a chance to check this out?
Black Judas?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those movies where, shoot, what was the movie beforehand? It was the one where all these individuals were inside of a house.
Oh, Detroit.
Thank you. It was like, it reminded me of kind of like the Detroit, where you really only watch that movie once. It's just
it's like a Detroit or 12-Year Slave. It's one that it's so uncompromising in its portrayal of these events that it gets hard to watch.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't say it's as brutal as movies like that. But
I only brought it more.
It's not as brutal, but it's just as uncompromising. I would say, especially considering that this is a Hollywood film and how much Hollywood likes to sanitize events like this.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking Green Book won Best Picture 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not that Green Book was like an awful or bad movie, but
I was just happy that Bohemian Rhapsody didn't win that year.
it was just one of those years, man.
I don't want Green Book to win. I just want Bohemian Rhapsody to lose.
There you go. Sometimes we all lose.
Yeah. Nick, what about you?
Okay, I kind of went back and forth a lot with my number 2, but just this week, my number 2, it's gonna be Mitchell's vs. Machines. For me, my favorite genre, I love animated films. I think my number 1 last year was Soul, and this film it just does so many things that I adore. Just how creative it is in its animation, how clever the humor is, how much of the jokes you end up missing on first viewing just because of how much you're laughing, or how much you miss little details in the background. And it's rare that the emotional beats of a movie hit so well that even on multiple viewings, I still end up in tears. And I especially did the more they focused on the father-daughter relationship in this film. And also, it has one of my favorite roles from Maya Rudolph as the mom with the thinly veiled rage issues.
Yeah, Maya Rudolph's been playing a lot of moms recently. She's been in quite a bit of some mom roles recently. Yeah.
Yeah.
It also doesn't hurt that Katie Mitchell, basically identical to a friend of the show, Ashley Lynch, who's a very prominent on Twitter and a good friend of mine. We often joke that this movie is basically.
You cut out there, Nick. What'd you say?
That Katie Mitchell reminds me a lot of friend of the show and a friend of the junk food cinema community, Ashley Lynch.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, like I said, it was on my list. I enjoyed it a lot. I thought it was really fun. It kind of has that kind of great humor in it. You'll very much know from people like Phil Lord and Chris Miller. That is very clever, that is very funny, that's not, that knows how to use pop culture very well and really knows how to really get poke fun at pop culture, not just reference it and not just mention it.
Yeah, but poking fun at pop culture and using the kind of fear of technology trope, but never doing it in a preachy way.
Yeah. All right. So moving on from that, and for my number 1 pick, I'm gonna go with a movie that Nick already mentioned before. Zola. I think Zola is a lot of fun. I think it's funny. I think it's dark. I think it's the perfect thing I love to watch. I love to watch things like Uncut Gems, Good Time. Good Time I think is one of my favorite movies in the past 10 years. I absolutely love that movie. Adore that movie a lot.
Yeah, I think this A Good Time and Uncut Gems, that's like the blood pressure trilogy. That's like how you just raise your fucking blood pressure and just end up just not being able to breathe for like however long that marathon would be.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely, yeah. Like this movie, watching the whole journey. So it's best to know as little as you can going into it. Because I knew it was based off a Twitter thread, but I didn't know the whole story going into it. So it's very nice just kind of watching the whole movie unfold and where it's going to go and how it's going to lead to, which was very good. Javon said it's like he didn't know Lizzo. Lizzo's not in this movie. Maybe you're thinking about that one stripper chick that they go.
That's Hustlers, the stripper movie with Jennifer Lopez. Also a very good movie.
Yeah, which I enjoyed. Yeah, Hustlers. I thought, Joy with that was in there, but that's not Lizzo in this movie at all. So yeah, very very good movie. Yeah, I love it a lot. Highly recommend anybody check it out. Nick, your number 1.
Okay, so my number 1 movie, it's a movie I had a lot of debate with, but it is Karen.
Karen, huh?
Yep, it's a movie that I think does a great job at. Fuck, I'm sorry, can't do bit with a straight face. I'm just fucking with you. My number one is absolutely Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a movie that I knew it. I I knew and deep down hoped that this was going to be good. I thought it's a perfect mix of subject matter and director with James Gunn doing this book. And what we ended up getting is my absolute favorite DC Comics film and arguably one of the best comic book films of the last I'd say the last 5 years. It's a movie that knows its source material. It plays around with different tones. It gets to that absurdist level of violence, but it always is deeply rooted in its characters. It's why stuff like Doom Patrol or stuff like Legion works so well. It keeps all of the absurd stuff grounded with its characters. On top of one of the best performances I think of the year, John Cena as Peacemaker, especially in his last big role in F9, where he was kind of like more stoic. He didn't get to really play with a lot of emotion. He gave Peacemaker some real depth. I don't know what it is, but James Gunn seems to be the fucking WWE whisperer. You managed to get great performances out of him and Dave Bautista. It balances it balanced the comic tone, this cuteness with characters like Nanaue and Sebastian the Rat, while also making them hyper violent. And this is a movie that I truly did not know was going to make the end, which is rare for a comic book movie, especially with how much of the culture of comic book films is about like breaking down, analyzing every little detail of the trailers. And the biggest thing about it, the main antagonist, it did not go over the level of the team needed. The mission didn't outreach their grasp. It's not like they're sent to deal with fucking Darkseid or anything like that.
Dusk, did you get a chance to check it out?
I have not as of yet,
Okay.
but it is on my radar.
I absolutely adored this film. I think this is few that I gave a 10 out of 10 to. It's a movie that I'm no shit have watched and rewatched no more than 15 times since the movie has come on HBO Max.
Wow.
And will 100% be buying that fucking gorgeous Steelbook 4K when it releases.
Yeah. I've wanted to see it again. I know it's on HBO Max, but I also wanted to check it out in the theater, support it there because it did not have a good theatrical run. I think a lot of things.
Yeah, unfortunately. It's tragic, but goddamn.
Yeah, and that had a lot to do with a lot of stuff, like we mentioned, pandemic. Also, simultaneous release with it being on HBO Max. Also, it had a bad previous movie.
It had the stink of David Ayer's movie, and thank God, the biggest thing about this movie, it shut up the fucking release the Ayer cut movement. Thank God.
I still see that online. I still see the whole kind of release the Ayer cut stuff.
Yeah, but then pages from the script leaked, and then they said, "Oh no."
Okay, I didn't see pages of the script release. I gotta check that out. But yeah,
they are awful.
But I mean, it makes sense. James Gunn, he did a Suicide Squad movie. I mean,
Freudian slip.
Yeah, Freudian slip there. Yeah, because James Gunn made me come with this, I guess. But yeah, I mean, it makes sense that why he did it. I mean, he did a great job with Guardians of the Galaxy, a team movie. Here he gets a chance to do another team movie with DC, and it works perfectly. His style.
A team movie where they let him off his chain.
Yeah,
they said, okay, make this exactly how you want to make it. It's a movie that, like Zack Snyder's Justice League, it's a movie that is 100% the vision of this director.
Yeah, I mean, it really feels like that. To me, his humor, sensibilities, the action, the kind of the gore that we kind of known from him, from things like Slither or Super. I mean, it feels very much like a James Gunn movie, and I think that was very much kind of what you can expect, and why people were so excited for him to be added to the project in the first place. It is very, very good, and I did enjoy it a lot. Thinking about the comic book movies that have been released so far this year, it's probably my favorite one. I would say I think it's the best one so far released this year. And yeah, definitely had a great time watching it. Great performances from everybody involved. Joe Kinnaman. I think a lot of the characters who were in the previous movies, I think they do a better job here than they did in the
They
last one.
yeah. Joel Kinnaman, he dropped the Proud Boy aesthetic, grew out his hair, and got a personality while he had it too.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's definitely much of an upgrade from last one. You mentioned John Cena's Peacemaker, really great, really funny character. Really great what they did with him. Polka Dot Man, loved Polka Dot Man. I thought he was great. David Dorshman, he did a very great job.
David Dastmalchian.
Des Malchin did a very very great job as well as Polka Dot Man.
Daniela Melchior as a rat catcher, a star-making performance from her.
Yeah, she's blowing up. I couldn't pose with that many rats that she does. I see her on Instagram. I see her on Twitter. Her touching them rats, that's a no-go. Gotta drop them rats. Don't like that. But
Hey, come on, Sebastian was cute.
nah, I'm good with the rats. I'm not okay. I'm like I'm Idris Elba. I'm Bloodsport. I'm not good with the rats there. And great performance by Idris Elba's Bloodsport. You know what I mean? It's he was very cool in that movie. So yeah, very very impressed by it. So that is it, people. That is our best so far of the year. We'll probably do a best of list complete probably December, towards the end of December.
Yeah, around December, January, hopefully. But I missed will have come on streaming, and I can amend my list as needed.
Yeah. We'll do a final kind of wrap up with that, with the list and everything like that. But we are gonna kind of head out of here. Signing off. Nick, where can people find you, man?
All right, find me Twitter, Instagram at Night and Josh. Where can they find the rest of our stuff?
Okay. Dusk. He doesn't really have anything. He likes to keep low key, so he doesn't have any socials, anything like that. You know what I mean? He just pops up on the pod. Enjoying the vibes very much. And thanks for coming by, Dusk. Thanks a lot, man.
Oh, of course. I wanted to let you know. So we just started a Discord for those who want to be outside of the main Discord. It is called Afternoon After Hours Discord. I'm still working on it, but hopefully it'll be a place where everyone on Twitch can just hang out as guests and talk about whatever and just kind of chill and vibe and just relaxed in between when we do stuff like this.
Yeah, everybody's got Discords now. So I'm starting to get more into Discord communities. Like I said, people like Chaco, people like Griff, Discord. That's how I kind of got more of them, learned them. Kind of following them. Also from Julia's stream. Her name is Riles Ken on Twitch. She does a really great job as well streaming there. Really great community to be a part of. Great that you guys all stopped by. Javon Good, great that you stopped by, man. Great that Koki stopped by. Nick's girl finally showed him some support and love. For once. So shout out to her. Big ups to her, very much so. So very very great that you all stopped by. You all kind of had a chance to come by. Elijah from Back to the Topic podcast, check him out. He's also TikTok famous on TikTok, 41K as he likes to mention. On TikTok, so they follow him there. Back to the Topic podcast as well. Thank you, Griff, so much. She said we love having you in our streams. Yeah, I love being there. I think guys do great work there. Drop some bits. I drop some bits when I can there. Sub when I can. Gift a sub. So yeah, I mean they're a very very great community. So where can you find us? The Afternoon Tune. Of course, we're on Twitch, right? Twitch.tv/The Afternoon Tune if you want to follow us there. Do live streams every Friday, every Saturday. We're gonna do one tomorrow, Saturday. We got an interview coming up with a artist that I know, a comic book artist. Also, we're going to do reviews for 2 movies. We're going to do Card Counter, and we're going to do Kate, the Netflix film starring Mary Elizabeth Winstead. And the Card Counter film is starring Oscar Isaac and Tiffany Haddish. We're going to be streaming 7:30 p.m. Central Standard Time is when we're going to be streaming that. Okay. So make sure to check that out. And we're going to be doing a watch party as well that day. Amazon Prime watch party on Twitch. We're going to be watching Zombies. I've never seen that film before, so it'll be interesting to check out. So we're going to be watching that Saturday. So we're going to be doing that probably, I think 9 p.m. Central Standard Time. We're going to be doing the watch party there.
Yeah, that works. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see the show tomorrow going the main show going longer than like an hour.
Yeah, so we're gonna be doing Zombies watch party 9 p.m. Central Standard Time as well. So we're gonna be doing 2 streams tomorrow. Make sure to check us out there. We're trying to get into more of the watch party stuff. YouTube, we are on YouTube as well. If you want to drop a sub there, comment there. We're on YouTube at the Afternoon Tune. Got recent review of Shang-Chi up there. Check out that review we did. Also had wonderful
Yeah,
guests.
for all you people that don't feel like scrolling through a 3-hour show, we dropped a shorter version just for you.
Yeah, shorter version, a whole of an hour. We did a nicer short clip of where we talked about Shang-Chi, but yeah, we had a lot to talk about with that movie. If you don't want to see us, you just want to just kind of just listen, we are also wherever you listen to podcasts. So we're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, things like that. We drop the shows there as well. Also, we're also on the socials if you want to get in touch with us. Twitter.com, Afternoon Tune. We're also on Instagram at the Afternoon Tune. We're also on TikTok at the Afternoon, trying to get those TikTok followers up there, everything like that. You can also send us an email at theafternoontune@gmail.com if you have any questions or concerns like that. Send us an email. Also, to all you good people out there, I'm glad you came by the stream, very much so. Hey, come by, have some fun. Watch us drop some of them emotes, the Bubbles emote, the Nick's hair emote, Chases a hater emote. Share the love there. The lovely emotes made by Jenny Liano. Jenny Liano from the Newness podcast, K-pop lover, just all around amazing artist. So if you have a Twitch channel, you want some emotes done, contact me through our various socials. I'll get in contact with Jenny Liano, and Jenny Liano can make some emotes for you. So to all you good people out there, hope you had a good time listening. And don't forget to always stay tuned.
Stay
Stay
tuned.
tuned.